a means test. But after engaging the Justice Minister and Director General, Nemasisi told the court he was awaiting confirmation that the department would cover the costs. That confirmation came through during the proceedings, to the relief of the court and gallery. Nemasisi placed on record the department's final decision, which took into account the significance of this inquest.
Having regard to the profound historical constitutional significance of this matter, the enduring need for truth and closure for the Biko family.
The court has also stressed the importance of the inquest, saying legal funding in cases of this nature should be treated differently. Eyewitness News in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape.
International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola would not be drawn on who should take account for delays in investigating and prosecuting apartheid-era crimes referred by the TRC. Testifying at the TRC cases inquiry under cross-examination, Lamola says he can only account for his own term as Justice Minister. The inquiry has previously heard evidence of years of poor and non-existent investigations and a lack of prosecution in TRC-related cases. His evidence comes as the inquiry awaits a constitutional court judgment following an application by former Presidents Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki, who have refused to appear before the inquiry. The two former heads of state are seeking a recusal of Chairperson former Justice Sisi Khampepe on grounds of alleged bias. Lamola says accountability should extend to everyone who may have been responsible for or interfered with the investigation and prosecution of these cases.
My predecessors should account for their terms. I'm here to account for what I did. That's what I endeavor to assist the Commission. Whoever was responsible, whether it's the NPA, it's the Justice Department, it's issues of finance, because this involves finance, DPSA and all that, they should be able to account.
A second attempt by Vusimuzi Matlala's lawyers to halt his testimony has fallen flat at the Madlanga Commission. Matlala returned to the hot seat this morning, ready for legal arguments to be made on his application around his right not to incriminate himself. But his lawyers told the commission they could not proceed, citing difficulties with consulting with him while he is incarcerated at the Kgoshi-Mampuru prison. They also claimed to be incapacitated by the absence of Matlala's lead advocate, Annelien van den Geewe. Khomotso has more.
After two adjournments for Vusimuzi Matlala to consult with his legal team, his advocate Fatima Misi presented several hypotheticals, including that if the Commission chooses to continue with Matlala's application against self-incrimination, he will approach the courts to interdict the Commission and his entire legal team would withdraw.
In the instance you rule that no, we are proceeding, our options would be to go off record as his counsel and he would be without representation.
But this has failed to get the Commission to postpone Matlala's testimony to tomorrow. The Commission's chair, Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, handed down this ruling.
My decision is to go ahead to hear Mr. Matlala's application.
This ruling means that Matlala's lawyers must be prepared to make substantive arguments on his self-incrimination application this afternoon. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
The stepson of an 80-year-old woman allegedly murdered in Bellville says that she and her sister were embroiled in a dispute over the house she lived in before her death. Constance Scholes was allegedly killed by his sister, 63-year-old Aletta Rose, in March. Rose made a brief appearance in the Bellville Magistrates Court today. Cameron Clark was there.
The court is yet to determine Aletta Rose's fitness to stand trial. The 63-year-old murder accused is fifth on a waiting list to be assessed by the district surgeon. Prosecutors have provisionally requested a bed for Rose at Falkenberg Hospital in October. She is accused of decapitating and dismembering her 80-year-old sister in March. The victim's stepson, Yodel Scholes, was also in court. He says while he cannot link a disagreement between the two women to the alleged murder, Rose and her sister were at odds over her sister's house.
My stepmother told me, Yodel, there's a problem with the house. She said Aletta kept coming to visit from Atlantis, but Aletta wants the house.
The matter has been postponed to the 23rd of September. Cameron Clark, Eyewitness News at the Bellville Magistrates Court.
And in the U.S., authorities in Nevada are urging tens of thousands of people to evacuate and schools remain closed as a fast-moving, wind-driven wildfire bears down on the western city of Reno. Around 42,000 people have been forced to evacuate and an additional 45,000 been told to get ready to leave. AFP reports all but one school in the county will remain closed today. The Hawk fire began on Saturday and had grown to over 6,000 hectares by Sunday evening across 8 kilometers northwest of Reno, a metropolitan area of over 280,000. No deaths have been reported this far, but at least 6 people have been injured, with several mountaintop houses destroyed. Around 800 people are reportedly supporting firefighting efforts, including crews from Australia and New Zealand. Well, gold is trading at $4,660.52 an ounce. The rand is at 16.01 to the dollar, 21.83 to the pound, 18.67 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $94.39 a barrel.
Well, at this stage in Bursley, Kempton Park, slow-moving traffic on Pretoria Road approaching Elgin, and there's also traffic lights not working in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek.
A look at your weather. It's a fine Monday in Johannesburg today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of 24 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: the Justice Department will fund the legal representation of Steve Biko's family in the reopened inquest into his death.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 10 minutes past 3 on Monday, the 24th of August. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Welcome to the show. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope the week is off to a good enough start. It is, after all, Monday. Let's not set our sights too high. My thanks to Thabo Shole Mashao for keeping the show fires burning while I took a break, which I enjoyed very much indeed. It's been a complicated day so far at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. It began with counsel for Vusumuzi Matlala, Advocate Fatima Misi, seeking a postponement of proceedings.
Chairperson, we've deliberated with Mr. Matlala, and he has requested that we remain on brief as his counsel and other attorneys of record. The position that we found ourselves in with the legal advice, given the circumstances that we face, which is one that Ms. Fania Herve, as you correctly pointed out, has been preparing on these points for as long as she's appeared here. And we've come in at a later stage and are not properly prepared to argue these points, and he's not comfortable with it either. His suggestion was that we could proceed with the hearing as is, and then he reserves his right to claim privilege as and when the questions are posed to him, and if necessary would then advance arguments before the commission.
Yeah, there was a lot of that throughout the morning. I struggled to keep track of all the arguments, but right now Mr. Matlala is facing questions and giving answers. I'm not entirely sure how we got to that point, but Khomotso Modise, our EWN reporter, has been watching it very closely. Indeed, she will clarify it all for us. She's with us at about 22 minutes past 3. The high price of the weight loss drug Ozempic and similar medications known as GLP-1 drugs has prompted many people to seek unregulated and potentially dangerous alternatives. Generic versions of these GLP-1 drugs are on the way. They could help mitigate this, but will the price come down far enough? It's an important question, not just for people who are seeking that out as a way of dealing with their own health issues, but also it does put a very high bar on the idea that perhaps we could use these drugs on scale to deal with many of the lifestyle issues that this country's health system faces. Mia Milan is from the health website Begisisa. If you haven't visited it, it really is excellent. She's with us after 4 o'clock. She's written extensively on this issue in general and on these particular questions in particular. Looking forward to talking to her. Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, this weekend says he wants his money back.
I then took 13 million rand and I gave to SAFA. And I can tell you now, that's where I can't do more as the minister. I wrote SAFA a letter where I said they should return my money. And SAFA asked for 21 days grace. I am just as angry. Because what more can I do? I asked them in a letter, bring back my money, the money of the state, because I am responsible for it. They said they will act within 20 days. Because for me, there was no action. We were supposed to have had VAR. So people shouldn't look at me. I'm the minister that put it on the table that VAR should be there. I did everything humanly possible. If now I'm writing FIFA, I've already spoken to FIFA. But I'm writing to them, they wanted in writing that I must go another way to get VAR. And I'm going to do that. There shall be VAR in the PS. And I want to apologize to the people. I've been let down terribly. Because what can I say?
Yeah, I mean, so at issue is the Sports Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture gave SAFA 13 million rand to implement VAR. All the conversations we've had about it is that it would have cost a great deal more. Now, we have asked the Minister if he can come on the show. We haven't had a response to that. We will also be approaching SAFA to come on the show. But the big question is this: what was the total cost of all of this going to be? And if 13 million was only a portion of that total cost, what guarantees, and I don't mean promises, I mean guarantees for the rest of the money were put down? Because if you put forward 13 million rand of public money on something that costs substantially more, I would have thought guarantees ought to have been in place. So we will try and get answers on that. We'll also get analysis from someone who's given us great guidance on this issue. Sports business analyst Ngobile Ndlovu is our guest on that. We'll talk about it a little later in the show. And since this is still Women's Month, for our music feature today, we thought favorite songs with women's names in the title. Let's kick you off.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 Jolene.
If you're not following us on YouTube, you would have missed a couple of really quite tight but very expressive moves from Kabazela there. I mean, he wasn't out of his chair, but given the space and the physical constraints, I thought that was pretty good. Kabazela is going to have some song suggestions of his own. Dolly Parton there with Jolene, your favorite song, please, with the women's name in the title. Start sending them in now. We'll start banking them at about 20 to 6. We will start playing them. I think we kicked off with a good one. On the JSE today, the all shares down by 555 points. Retail stocks are struggling. Mr. Price off by 4.3%. Pick n Pay's down by 3.8%. Naspers is weaker by 3%, which always drives the index downwards. Better news for Datatech, having a rather stellar day, actually, up by 8.8%. Tungela has gained 5.3%. As always, related to the oil price, I would think. Rand is trading at 16 Rand against the dollar. Not bad. 18.68 against the euro. 21 Rand 83 will get you a pound. I do not know what a pound will get you, but if you've been in the UK recently, perhaps you can tell me if you can buy anything for a pound. Ages since I've been there. The gold price is having a little surge, up by $50.96 so far today, but the oil price remains ugly. A barrel of Brent crude is currently trading at $93.07 a barrel. That despite $1.32 dip today. So it was a lot uglier, but still way too high for my liking, and I'm sure yours. More market news with Stephen Curtis at 4:25. We'll have sport with Tolakele Mganga. Karabochale has the traffic news and Pulling Make back at 3:30 with the very latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. If it's happening in 702 land, we, of course, will gather as much of the news as we possibly can and share it with you. But you know what? There is stuff that you get to hear about first. Please do call us with that on 011 883 0702, something happening in your neighborhood or your network. Let us know on 072 702 1702. That's the number you can use for WhatsApps. It's 18 minutes now past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So I saw a very interesting story on a site that I visit every day, The Guardian, one I would certainly recommend, not behind a paywall, although they do appreciate contributions to the work they do. This one really caught my eye, and I'm not terribly sure why, but a gentleman called Nick Hames has photographed his son's entire lives. Now, what he said is, I didn't miss a thing, and what prompted him to do this, he was living in New York at the time, with his friend and future wife, and 9/11 happened, and that made him think, whoa, life is fragile, life is short, anything can happen. I don't want to miss a thing of my kids growing up. So he has produced a book. They were in this tiny little apartment in Manhattan, which he said made it very easier. There was nowhere for the kids to go. But he's filmed their first bloody noses. He's filmed the first hair under his son's armpit. I mean, this is a level of detail that I think, most people would say, no, didn't capture that. But I was just wondering, because it's never been easier to sort of capture the growing up of a young person in your world, whether it's your child or a family member or even a kid that you're close to through a friendship network, whatever the relationship is. How much detailing of kids, young people in your lives are you actually doing? And once you do all that detailing, what do you actually do with the material you keep? My dad had, and this goes back to the 60s, a little 8mm camera. So I can see myself like sort of toddling at the age of 2 or 2.5
nice.
on a beach in Mozambique. So, I mean, it's a fabulous thing to have, but there's a lot of stuff, I don't think there's a bloody nose in the footage, and certainly no early armpit hair that I recall being documented. But of course, photographs are not the only way to document these things. My growth was measured with little lines on the wall to see, and a date put next to them. But your stories, please. What are you doing to document young people moving through the gears of life in your circle, and what do you remember of that being done for you? Jonathan Fairburn, did you have the little lines on the wall as you grew to your current impressive height?
Yeah, afternoon, John, and welcome back. And that we had big time. It was in my bedroom, behind my bedroom door. There was a whole bunch of lines throughout the years of me growing, because I was extremely small growing up, and my mom was quite concerned at one stage that I wasn't going to get any taller. So that was what she documented, and then she documented a whole bunch of school photos, like first dad nursery school, primary school, through the different grades and standards. And then it kind of stopped. Maybe, actually, I got bored.
He's tall enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, but like other stuff is, I don't remember, like in my, let's say from 15 to 20.
Yes.
That period, there weren't many photos or anything like that taken. Aunts and uncles, like at family functions and Christmases, they had the video cameras. They were the rich side
pioneers.
of the family. Yeah, they had the cameras, so they would document all those kind of things, which I need to pull out of the archives and ask them for copies of. But yeah, I think it's a lovely thing if you can document stages. I mean, I've seen some parents, not personally known, but what they've done is every year throughout the kids' lives, they'll take a photo of their face.
Yes.
And, from baby all the way up till, let's say, the 21st. And then they've put this whole montage together.
Brilliant.
And they play it, and you see how the face has changed all the way up to the ages. Really, like, beautiful thing to see. But yeah, that's my experience.
And I mean, you're on this journey, Karabo, with your son.
And it's with us, it's a bit easier because we've got these phones which have cameras, and you can just snap anytime and any moment. So with me growing up, it was usually Christmas Day. Christmas Day, we knew that the photographer was coming and we're gonna take pictures
Family
with
photos,
our Christmas clothes and stuff like that.
Yes.
Every year, no fail. But with us now, it's easier because, like I said, we've got phones and it's easier to snap. So we document as much as we can. I remember we have a video of him starting to crawl.
Lovely.
His first crawling moments, and when he started walking, we have a video of that. So we take all those moments and we document, like his first day at school, first day at creche. We all have those moments. So yeah, it's easier now, and and we send it to him on his phone as well. So he also has a copy of those. We don't have albums anymore.
Don't lose interest between 15 and 20.
Yes. I'm keeping notes
You have
of
been
that.
warned.
I'm keeping notes of that.
Stories, please, from all of you about how you're documenting the lives of the young people with your own children, nephews, nieces. We have all kinds of family configurations in our lives. And secondly, what do you remember of what was documented of you? I remember one of my family members saying, you would think that I was never there at anything because she was the one who had to take all the pictures. So there's hopefully that problem is being overcome as well. And then the big question, how do you find it all? 24 minutes past 3, Karabo, how are we doing in the traffic?
Well, I must say, John, not looking too bad. Just a couple of issues to be aware of. This is in Randburg heading towards Four Ways. There's an accident seen on the N1 northbound near Malibongwe Drive, causing heavy delays. There's also slow-moving traffic in Bursley. That's in the Kempton Park area on Pretoria Road approaching Algon. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in Lone Hill at Lone Hill Boulevard and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing from all of you. We're getting some great song suggestions. Thanks very much for sending us those. We're starting to compile them and put them together. Coming up a little bit later in the show, in fact, at about 10 minutes to 4, we're chatting to Dr. Cindy Hendrickse. She's got a PhD in aviation law. She's an academic down in the Western Cape. And she has been looking at the automation of air traffic control, which represents certain improvements, but she's also raising questions about potential risk. And I'm really interested in talking to her about that, because I must admit, when I fly, I do not give air traffic control a moment's thought, but it's always good to know more about these things than one currently does. That's certainly true for me. She's with us at 10 to 4, 25 minutes past 3.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Right, let's go to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Looking up at 2 TV screens in front of me, I can see on Newsroom Africa, and also I think it's on ENCA. Yeah, on ENCA as well, that Vusimuzi Katmatlala is currently facing questions at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. It didn't always look during the day as if this would be happening, Khumotso Modise. Lots of back and forth, lots of issues with council on various sides saying that, well, maybe this is not going to happen today at all. Let's go to where we are now. What kind of questions is Mr. Matlala facing, and what kind of responses is he giving? He did earlier, in an earlier session this month, set out his views in his affidavit, but now the questions are coming. What's he faced with?
He was being asked both by the commissioners and the evidence leader, Masapisolo, about his relationship with General Shadrack Sibiya. And he initially started answering the question very cautiously, at some point referring to how the relationship or parts of the relationships are subject to an investigation. But the commissioners aren't allowing him to take that route. In fact, they are asking which parts of their relationship is under investigation. And so this is really a theme that Vusimuzi Katmatlala has continued with around the issues of privilege and his right not to incriminate himself. And his relationship with Shadrack Sibiya, he believes, is being investigated as well. And as a result, he doesn't want to give much about it. But he has now detailed something that he already testified about actually before the ad hoc committee previously, where he said he met him when he went to Sibiya's office in order to raise an issue with a contract that he had with Public Works. And so this was around a hospital that he was servicing on the police's premises in the west of Pretoria. I think something that's interesting, though, that he's gone a step further in terms of how he was linked with Shadrack Sibiya initially. He says that he had been introduced or given the email address, Shadrack Sibiya's email address, by Sergeant Fanny Nkosi. So that's really the relationship that's being explored now by the Commission. They are trying to establish the nature of their relationship, how much Vusmuzi Matlala knew about Shadrack Sibiya, whether they were friends. This is something that he's already denied, saying they were not friends. But he's very guarded, Dr. John, as he's asked to give more details about this relationship.
Khomotso, if we can just do a brief rewind into what happened earlier. I mean, initially, the bits I heard from Counsel Advocate Fatima Misi was that it was Mr. Matlala saying that he felt that he was being unfairly treated, that he didn't want to answer questions under particular circumstances, most notably that his principal lawyer advocate, Annelien van den Heever, was unable to attend because she's currently ill. But then there was a little twist in that where it seemed, unless I misunderstood, that Mr. Matlala was saying, well, no, actually, I don't entirely hold that view. Clarify it for us, because I must admit I didn't follow it entirely clearly.
Well, the first part of proceedings earlier today really were Matlala's lawyers, led by Advocate Misi, who told the Commission that they're not prepared to continue with the application that they were scheduled to bring before the Commission. They were scheduled to bring an application around his right not to incriminate himself. And that application was set to be made by Advocate Annelien van der Heever. Now, we then saw Matlala's lawyer, Misi, pointing out that not only is Van der Heever absent today because she's unwell, but also they had difficulty consulting with Matlala because he's incarcerated currently at the Kgosimampuru maximum security prison. And then the Commission came forward to say that they are refusing the application to postpone, saying they should still proceed with this application. And then we heard Misi, telling the Commission that if that's the case, Matlala wants to apply for an interdict or approach the High Court with an interdict application to interdict the Commission from continuing with this testimony, saying he feels that he's been treated unfairly. Now, eventually the Commission then asked Matlala's legal team what they would do, Dr. John, if they decide to proceed. And they said that they would then abandon or withdraw as his legal counsel, meaning that he would not be legally represented at all. Now, that's when Matlala was roped in and asked if that is his official stance. And he then responded and said he's not sure about that. He really gave an answer that could not be pinned down as to what his official position is. And that's when we saw after the lunch adjournment where he clarified, saying that that's not what he meant at all, essentially saying that he's comfortable with continuing with the normal testimony and the application will be brought at a later stage.
Yeah, you do. You do wonder, given the precious nature of the Commission's time, why he didn't put up his hand and say, no. I mean, let's go ahead. I don't mean it as simplistically and flippantly as that, but I mean an entire morning of back and forth, arm wrestling and so on. And in the end, Mr. Matlala himself says, why don't we go ahead? Yes, indeed. Could have done that sooner, perhaps. Strikes me that it could have been. But maybe I don't understand legal proceedings as well as I should. Khomotso Modise is keeping an eye on a very complicated but important day at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Regular updates from her in our bulletins on the half hour and on the hour. Speaking of the one on the half hour, it is 29 minutes to 4. Which means good afternoon once again to Puleng Make.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. A warrant of arrest issued against media personality Mulemo Marohanye, popularly known as Jub Jub, will not be enforced until his next court appearance. Marohanye did not pitch in the Germiston Magistrates Court this morning, allegedly due to ill health, resulting in a warrant being issued. The popular TV presenter faces charges of discharging a firearm in a public place and pointing an object likely to make someone believe it is a firearm. The charges relate to an incident involving an e-hailing driver in Edenvale in June, investigators later seized a pellet gun from Marohanya's residence. The NPA's Makgaboke Matlatlole.
The case has been postponed by the Germiston Magistrates Court to 7 September 2026. The postponement follows his failure to appear in court, citing ill health, which resulted in a warrant of arrest being issued and held over until the next date. The state is
now,
ready
another
to
bloody
with the
night
matter.
has left 6 people dead in 2 suspected gang-related shootings across Cape Town. Police are investigating triple murders in Athlone and Happy Valley near Blue Downs. In Athlone, 2 men aged 19 and 36 were found shot dead in a house on Lower Klipfontein Road in Silvertown last night. The third victim, a 22-year-old man, was shot in the head and later died in hospital. Police spokesperson FC Van Wyk says in the early hours of this morning, 3 more people were shot dead in Happy Valley.
Umfuleni police members responded to a shooting incident at the premises in Marshall Crescent in Happy Valley. Upon arrival, the bodies of 3 persons, a woman and 2 males aged between 20 and 25, were found in a shack with multiple gunshot wounds. All 3 victims were declared deceased on the scene by the paramedics. Both these incidents are believed to be gang-related and the suspects are yet to be arrested.
And in Bangladesh, an appeals court has upheld the death sentence of an ex-head Hector convicted of murdering a teenage student. According to reports, Nusrat Yahan Rafi was dosed with set alight after she made harassment complaints against the head of her rural Islamic school. Rafi's death triggered outrage across the nation, with protesters staging days-long demonstrations seeking punishment for the killers. The court has maintained the death penalty for co-accused, while 10 other defendants were acquitted. A look at your weather. It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng. Today, temperatures are peaked at highs between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News: a warrant of arrest issued against media personality Mulumo Marohane, popularly known as Jub Jub, will not be enforced until his next court appearance.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
The ANC, what a mess this weekend. They were supposed to announce their mayoral candidates, and then they didn't announce the mayoral candidates, and then they announced those people who were in the running to be mayoral candidates, and then they announced their election manifesto. Professor Andre Duvenhagen, how damaging do you think that'll be for the ANC?
It is a total anticlimax. If we look at the 5-6 points of their manifesto, there's nothing new. They couldn't provide mayoral candidates. In fact, for Joburg, there are at least 3 names: Lozisu, Masuku, Dada Moreru, and the possibility of Frank Shikane. So there's huge uncertainty.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Remember the first time your soul felt alive, or the last time music moved you so deeply you didn't want it to end. That feeling is calling you back. You are officially invited to come experience soulful performances from global icons Kamasi Washington, Temba and Africa Mkhize, Nubia Garcia, Ibrahim Malouf, Judith Sapuma, Angelique Kidjo, Dabo Zulu, Melanie Skoltz, Floetry, Tandiswa Mazwai. The list is long. There are 40 world-class acts, 4 incredible stages of the Sandton Convention Centre, 1 unforgettable experience at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, 25th to 26th September. This is Jazz Reignited. Get your weekend pass now via Ticketmaster.
So the other day I get this call from an insurance company. They asked if they could quote me. I said, quote me? I can't remember what I said, but if you're still thinking about it, it must have been pretty good. Mom always said I have a way with words. They just put down the phone. I don't get it.
Don't get that insurance. Get Pineapple. It's easy to get and online. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. T's and C's apply.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium. Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
At Checkers, every day gets better and better. Get better freshness, better choices, and better value for money. With deals like Dower Egbert's Instant Coffee, 200 or 230 grams for $179.99. Bonita or Parmalat Salted Butter, 500 grams, any two for 139 Rand. And Shower to Shower Deodorant or Roll-On, 50 or 150 mils, any two for 69 Rand. Valid until 6 September, only at Checkers.
You made your mark on election day. But what happens after the votes are counted? This week, catch the Clement Manyathela Show in conversation with the South African Local Government Association on 702. Tune in as we unpack how local democracy works, what you can expect from your ward councillor, and how every resident can play a meaningful role in shaping their community. Democracy lives here. Make your voice count beyond the ballot box. The Clement Manyathela Show in conversation with Salga, inspiring service delivery. This week on 702.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, good afternoon, Bro John. Yeah, very interesting. My father was a cameraman. He used to take pictures, and then we got pictures from being babies until at the age of about 13. So normally when he came back from work, and then he will just take you pictures, whether you clean or what, and then you will take that pictures. Right now we're enjoying that, and then I also like pictures. My nephews also like pictures. Wherever we meet, I normally take pictures, and those are good memories at the end. Yeah, it's Clementine Mamelodi. Thank you. Bye.
Good afternoon, John. Talking about memories. My dad used to record everything from the pictures. I've got a picture of myself from 2 days old with my sister. By the time my sister was born, he had a video camera, those big ones, and we could watch it on the VHS. So he documented that. My mom giving birth, that whole C-section, we got to see that. And with me, with my kids, they don't even like taking pictures. And I always tell them, it's not for you, it's for me. It's from my memories. But when you show them years later, they get to appreciate it. They're like, we didn't know you like this. My daughter is worse. She doesn't even want to see herself. But I love it. I still love pictures to this day.
Yeah, and while you guys were talking, I mean, there are really interesting complication that's come into this. The question I asked, by the way, is how are you documenting the young people in your lives photographically, visually, and so on? Because there's video, of course, as well as photos. And how does that compare with the way the records you have of your own childhood and growing up? But the complicating thing now, of course, is social media, because it's one thing for your kids to say, I hate that picture of me, don't send it to anyone else. But if you post, do you check with your kids before you post on social media, saying you're happy with this picture of you with ice cream all over your face? Because maybe in 4 years' time, they may not think it's cute. Anyway, lots to think about. Please give us your stories. We'd love to hear them. 20 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kelly, a very good afternoon to you. The Springboks, a lot of thinking, a lot of work to go ahead, and a big day for Peter Steff.
Absolutely, John. And he'll win his 100th Test cap when the Bucks go up against New Zealand in the second Test of rugby's greatest rivalry series, while Oxenchair will join the club of players to earn 50 caps. Sasha Feinberg Mgomezulu drops to the bench for the Cape Town clash with Henry Pollard back at 10, while injuries to Cheslin Colby and Grant Williams have brought Ethan Hooker and Kobus Reinach back into the starting lineup at wing and scrum half respectively. There remains a question mark over captain Siya Kolisi, while Rassie Erasmus has provided this rundown of his injury list.
He has to get to today's training, so that's why he's slashed with Paul. Cheslin, it's more than just cramp. He's in amber at this stage. It might be a late change with Cheslin if he really recovers. Ben Jason have some concussion symptoms which he picked up last week. Puan, Venter and Kian Horn is playing for the Lions tomorrow, so they won't be part of our team. And then unfortunately, Kanan and Grant. Kanan pulled a hamstring and Grant got an ankle injury.
Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie has told SAFA to pay back the 13 million million rand he handed to them to implement VAR in the PSL this season. Along with the funds, the minister also sponsored a trip to Europe to research which options would work best for local football. But with no clarity on when the technology will be implemented, Mackenzie says football supporters shouldn't blame him for the delays.
I then took 13 million rand and I gave to SAFA. And I can tell you now, I can't do more as the minister. I wrote SAFA a letter where I said they should return my money. And SAFA asked for 21 days grace. I am just as angry. Because what more can I do? I asked them in a letter, bring back my money. The money of the state. Because I am responsible for it. They said they will act within 20. Because there was, for me, there was no action. We were supposed to have had VAR.
Miguel Cardoso has challenged his Mamelodi Sundowns players to show character in the second leg of the MTN8 semi-final against Lamontville Golden Arrows. The Brazilians suffered a surprise 1-0 home defeat in yesterday's first leg, as said Dion scored the only goal in the 38th minute.
What we need now is to understand that that character will speak for us in the next match, because at halftime we are losing, but still already this season we are losing matches at halftime and we won in the end. So that's what we need to do, is go on the second half and play to win and not make the same mistakes, because if we continue to make mistakes that we detect, that we show, we speak, we correct, we make them understand, and we continue to do, of course, that will speak also badly about us. But I think the team will for sure give a good answer on the second match.
And England's cricket body have confirmed that Brydon Carse is under investigation after he was reportedly involved in an incident at a nightclub in Derby on Saturday. Video circulating on social media showed Carse in handcuffs before being led away from a club by 4 police officers. The bowler, who's in England's squad for the second test against Pakistan this week, can be seen alongside teammate Matthew Potts, while former England captain Ben Stokes was also pictured. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
17 minutes to 4, the latest from Out on the Roads with Karabo Chale, please.
Yes, sir. Well, at this stage, if you are leaving Randburg heading towards Four Ways, expect delays. We've received reports of huge delays on the N1. Let's hear the voice note.
Hi, Karabo. There are delays on the N1. I'm just after Malibongwe going towards Winnie Mandela. There's a truck that is on its side and has caused massive delays on that route towards Winnie Mandela, Bryanston. Name is on the road.
Thanks for that heads up. So that means if you're leaving Rudaport heading towards Four Ways, allow for extra traveling time, or rather use Christian de Wet as an alternative. There's also slow-moving traffic in the Midrand area. This is due to roadworks on the N1 southbound between Allendale and the Batlu interchange. In Bursley, Kempton Park, there's slow-moving traffic on Pretoria Road approaching Algan, and look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 proudly presents the Dina Letty stage at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2026.
We're gonna have some fun. You guys ready?
This is Jazz Reignited.
Jazz.
Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Still to come on 702 Drive, automation and technological advances are meant to make things better. They certainly are meant to make things safer, or so we're told, and that has been the approach to air traffic navigation control. But coming up shortly, we'll be chatting to Cindy Hendrickse. She's a former air traffic services officer herself. She has a PhD in aviation law at the University of Cape Town. She's written a fascinating piece about how the technical advances may well be bringing certain risks with them as well. She's with us shortly, but not before. Tolakele Mganga, we've asked you first of all about the way in which your childhood was documented. If people are wondering why we're talking about it, I read an intriguing story about a guy who documented virtually every moment he could of his children growing up. They're now young adults, but he first bleeding nose, first armpit hair, which perhaps, some might say a bit too much detail, but hey, it wasn't for anyone else except him and his family. But it made me wonder, growing up, lots of pictures taken of you, and if there were, do you still see them? Do you miss them if they weren't taken?
We have so many pictures. My dad loves taking pictures even now that he has a smartphone and he keeps it on his phone. We he had a camera growing up. We have photo albums when me and my brother are home that weekend at the same time. He loves to take out the photo album so we can reminisce, because the main pictures are really of him and my mom's wedding. So he always likes to tell us stories about weddings. Every birthday that me and my brother had until I think we were 13. So every time it's one of each other's birthday, we always post like old pictures of ourselves.
Oh, lovely. How brilliant.
Yeah, even now because we always do like a family lunch when it's someone's birthday. So we always do like a back then, this is now sort of thing. But we grew up taking pictures. We still take pictures now. My dad, if there's like a family event, whether it's like family from KZN coming through, he will make us all like take pictures, pose. He'll tell these two cousins to stand together. And now that I'm a bit older, it used to irritate me when I was a teenager.
Yes.
But now that I'm a bit older, I appreciate it, because family, like that time passes so quickly. And then one day you're waking up and you're like, oh, where's so-and-so? And then you remember that, oh, they've passed on. So you always have those pictures to go back to.
It's so interesting what you said though about, as a teenager, you didn't like it. And if you knew as a teenager what your grumpy face would look like when you're 24, especially when you look at yourself and say, actually, I was quite hot then. I wasn't bad at 17. And as the timelines stretch, your regret line becomes considerably more detailed.
There's this one infamous picture of us in my grandmother in KZN's kitchen before we were about to go back to Joburg. And me and my brother were just like so mad about why we have to go home, because we're like, we were having so much fun here.
Yes.
And it's just a reminder that like those moments are so fleeting. And both of us just looked disheveled. You could tell my parents were like, let's just go. I'm done with both of you. But it's such a moment in time and I'll never forget it.
But that's brilliant, because it stirs up a whole set of feelings and memories. Special. Give us your thoughts, please, on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. How are you documenting the lives of young people in your life, your own children, nephews, nieces, close family, friends, and their offspring? And what are your recollections about the way in which your own life was documented? And how do you find all the pictures? Of course, that's another thing. It's one thing to say with modern devices, we could just snap, and shoot as much as we like. And then you want to compile something for somebody's birthday. Where are the pics? Maybe you're better at it than me, which would not be hard, because I'm not good at it at all. So any tips you have, please. 072 702 1702, 11 minutes to 4.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
There's a site that I regularly refer you to. It's called The Conversation. They have an Africa thread. They have threads from other parts of the world, Australia, the US, UK, and so on. But on the Africa thread, a story caught my eye, which we're about to dig into a little bit. The headline, Air Traffic Control is becoming more automated. Is regulation keeping up? And it's a fascinating piece written by my next guest, which looks at growing automation in air traffic control systems all over the world. But the study that it's based on has particular reference to South Africa. Let's welcome then to 702 Drive, Dr. Cindy Hendrickse. She has a PhD in aviation law and is currently at the University of Cape Town. Dr. Hendrickse, welcome. It's great to have you with us on the show, and thank you for your time. You yourself have been an air traffic services officer. You were based in Joburg, and you know the world very, very well indeed. So well placed to have a look at the benefits of automation. You do, though, find that it's a mixed blessing. Tell us why you say that. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, it is a mixed blessing in so far. Automation really helps controllers. Back in the day, you still had to print everything. It was a slow, tedious process, and automation has really helped and to increase capacity for controllers, etc. But it introduced a lot of new risks, especially with complacency, over-reliance on these systems, etc. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to read this sentence because I want people to get the full import of what you're saying. Key findings from a survey included air traffic controllers, complacency, over-reliance, and the diminishing of manual skills, while automation failures increase their workload. I want to talk about the diminishing of manual skills. Do you think when there's more automation, what distinguishes an excellent problem-solving air traffic controller from somebody who can just run the system is noticeable, firstly, but presents risk as a second point?
I think it's it's not necessarily an excellent controller, but a seasoned and experienced air traffic controller.
Okay.
The experienced air traffic controllers, they still grew up with procedural manuals, methods. For example, if two aircraft were flying directly at each other, they could calculate themselves in how many seconds those two aircraft would hit each other.
Right.
Essentially, automation has taken over that process, and the younger air traffic controllers of today don't have those skills, because automation slowly over the last few years have taken over that task and skill.
You mentioned as well that regulation is not keeping up. If we focus just on South Africa, what's missing?
I think skills from the civil aviation perspective. They need regulators who know how to identify the risks associated with the automation, as well as the post-implementation. Your post-implementation is actually the biggest problem. Is then, everyone, you have all your service providers, they implement the systems, they make sure the system is functioning, and then they step back. And then it's left to the controllers to work with those systems. And a lot of times the systems aren't interoperable. So, and it's there where regulation is lacking. And specifically with post-implementation, to pick up where it is lacking and to develop your procedures post-implementation.
I mean, let's broaden it then globally, because often, by their very nature,
Yes.
certain flights are crossing international borders, and you say there is no explicit international standard that requires automated air traffic control systems and AI to be certified by national regulators.
No.
That sounds like a problem, I would think particularly for a continent like Europe, where you can find yourself in another country within a matter of 15, 20 minutes.
Yes. So Europe has only as recently as 2023 introduced a framework for certifying systems, for example. However, the process is not done. Certification has not yet started. And to make matters worse, their capacity, they actually had full capacity. And the International Civil Aviation Organization is pressing everyone towards changing systems within the next 10 years again. And it is a lot to do with to try and increase capacity, yet the current automation that we have and regulations can't keep track.
I want to go back a step and just to your experience as an air traffic services officer. We were talking the other day about what are the most stressful jobs in the world, and that definitely came up. I mean, is it highly stressful, or do most days pretty much go by with a certain amount of, intensity, but pretty much to plan? Because you do say in your document, we're seeing an increase in South African aviation incidents.
It is stressful. However, it is also manageable.
Yes.
And then at a certain, for example, if you have an emergency, and depending on what the emergency is, if all systems are working, everything's perfect, yes, it is stressful, but you manage the emergency and that you'll be done with it. However, if one of your systems, your automation systems fail,
yes,
and you have to rely on manual skills that are no longer there, then it becomes utterly stressful.
I want to go back to something. Sorry, I slipped. I almost asked you two questions in one question. So let me ask you the second one more precisely. Automation has been introduced pretty steadily and consistently in South Africa, but then you said a noticeable increase in South African aviation incidents was reported over 4 years. And you said this raises the question, if the technology was intended to improve safety, why were there more incidents? What's your answer to your own question?
I think it's a combination. It's because globally, no regulator is forced by international standards to implement any certification. It's also a lack of civil aviation skills as such. And then at the ANSP, the air navigation service providers, they themselves lack the skills, and there's also a shortage of air traffic controllers. And the shortage of air traffic controllers adds to the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's challenging. I mean, just a final thought. I mean, if nothing's going to get changed quickly and nothing's going to get fixed comprehensively, because it doesn't work that way. But if you were to set must-dos as soon as possible, what would they look like?
Implement interoperable systems. Make sure your procedures align with what your controllers do, and make sure that your fallback systems and your manual skills are practiced yearly and your systems are maintained.
Thank you so much. Very, very interesting stuff indeed. Dr. Cindy Hendrikse, she has a PhD in aviation law. She's at the University of Cape Town. Check out her story on The Conversation, not just because of the specific things she raises in regard to air traffic controllers, but it raises for me some very interesting issues around automation and things that are seen as progress. Whereas, you know what? Maybe progress is a little bit of a mixed bag. Have a look at it, and if you've got some thoughts on this, please do give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
We are just over 2 months before we go to the elections. How can we believe all of what you are saying when you won't even tell us who you think should run a city like Johannesburg?
The ANC normally announces mayors post the elections. We've gone through a vigorous process that includes vetting of individuals, interviews of individuals.
How worried are you about MKP?
Every party goes to elections to contest. We are contesting with MKP as we are contesting with Al Jama, the DA, IFP, and anyone.
But none of them are a problem of your own making except for MKP. I mean, at a personal level, as Nomvula Mukunyane, do you regret supporting Jacob Zuma, which has led to this mess?
I even go to an extent of asking Comrade President Thabo Mbeki what went wrong. This is a different Jacob Zuma.
That's a nice soul, eh? Let's leave it there.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
As a business owner, you're always looking for ways to save money. But have you looked at saving on your business insurance premium? With OUTsurance Business Insurance, you could save big, like Bosmansdam High School.
We were with our previous insurance for 10 years plus before switching to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
We are saving 3,705 Rand per month.
It was so quick and easy, we should have switched sooner.
Ready to switch and save? Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Strong communities are built on a strong local government. Every day, municipalities work to deliver the essential services that improve lives and support thriving communities across South Africa. As the voice of local government, SALGA represents, supports and empowers municipalities to build capable institutions, promote good governance and advance effective service delivery. SALGA, inspiring service delivery.
This is EWN.
Madlanga Commission orders Matlala to proceed with testimony and Shinga warns of NFP existential crisis. Good afternoon, I'm Buleng Make. Alleged crime kingpin Vusmuzi Matlala has been forced to continue with his testimony at the Madlanga Commission this afternoon after 2 failed attempts at a postponement. The Commission spent the morning hearing submissions from his legal team on why his testimony should be rolled over to tomorrow. But the Commission refused his application, insisting to continue with proceedings despite threats of an interdict by Matlala's legal team and suggestions of them possibly withdrawing as his lawyers. The Commission was expected to hear an application Matlala on his right not to incriminate himself, a right he plans to invoke throughout his testimony. After the lunch adjournment, his advocate on record today, Fatima Misi, told the Commission they would not bring the application information today.
The position that we found ourselves in with the legal advice, given the circumstances that we face, which is one that Ms. van der Heever, as you correctly pointed out, has been preparing on these points for as long as she's appeared here. And we've come in at a later stage and are not properly prepared to argue these points, and he's not comfortable with it either. His suggestion was that we could proceed with the hearing as is, and then he reserves his right to claim privilege as and when the questions are posed to him. And if necessary, would then advance arguments.
National Freedom Party representative in the KwaZulu-Natal legislature, Mbali Shinga, is warning the party is facing an existential crisis as a result of factional battles. Shinga addressed the media in Durban today in what she described as a moment of breaking her silence about troubles in the party. In recent months, the NFP's national leadership has tried to remove Shinga from her position, with the matter of her expulsion now before the courts. Shinga says she has written to the party's leaders to have their differences set aside for the sake of the organization.
That approach has not produced political maturity, cooperation or organizational reset that the present crisis demands. Instead, the NFP has continued down a road characterized by removals, suspensions, expulsions, acting appointments, competing directives, litigation, departures of leaders and councillors.
The 7 Mfuleni municipal employees facing charges over an alleged electricity reconnection scheme are expected to remain in custody pending bail. The suspects appeared in the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court today facing 4 charges that fall under Schedule 5, meaning the bail application will be subject to more stringent requirements. Anelita Fandesa reports.
The 7 suspects, David Senegal, Caroline Maduna, Kenneth Mahobe, Hlautelo Baloyi, Bule Masilo, Andres Maduna and Sibusiso Chabalala, face charges of tampering with essential infrastructure, fraud, theft and money laundering. The state has flagged that more charges are expected as the investigation continues. The bail hearing is set to take place next Monday, 31st of August. The state has signaled it will be opposing the accused's bail applications. The court has also heard applications to allow the suspect to submit warning statements, which the court will also hear next Monday. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News, Vanderbijl Park.
The stepson of an 80-year-old woman allegedly murdered in Belleville says she and her sister were embroiled in a dispute over the house she lived in before her death. Constance Scholes was allegedly killed by her sister, 63-year-old Aletta Rose, in March. Rose made a brief appearance in the Belleville Magistrates Court today. Cameron Clark was there.
The court is yet to determine Aletta Rose's fitness to stand trial. The 63-year-old murder accused is 5th on a waiting list to be assessed by the district surgeon. Prosecutors have provisionally requested a bed for Rose at Falkenberg Hospital in October. She is accused of decapitating and dismembering her 80-year-old sister in March. The victim's stepson, Yodel Scholes, was also in court. He says while he cannot link a disagreement between the 2 women to the alleged murder, Rose and her sister were at odds over her sister's house.
My stepmother told me, Yodel, there's a problem with the house. She said Aletta kept coming to visit from Atlantis, but Aletta wants the house.
The matter has been postponed to the 23rd of September. Cameron Clark, Eyewitness News at the Belleville Magistrates Court.
And in the U.S., authorities in Nevada are urging tens of thousands of people to evacuate and schools remain closed as a fast-moving, wind-driven wildfire bears down on the western city of Reno. Around 42,000 people have been forced to evacuate and an additional 45,000 have been told to get ready to leave. AFP reports all but one school in Washoe County will remain closed today. The Hawk Fire began on Saturday and had grown to over 6,000 hectares by Sunday evening across 8 kilometers northwest of Reno, a metropolitan area of over 280,000. No deaths have been reported thus far, but at least 6 people have been injured, with several mountain top houses destroyed. Around 800 people are reportedly supporting firefighting efforts, including crews from Australia and New Zealand. Well, gold is trading at $4,673.16 an ounce. The rand is at 16.01 to the dollar, 21.85 to the pound, 18.68 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $94.39 a barrel.
In Prince-Hof, Pretoria, slow-moving traffic heading towards Gazina. This is on Steve Biko Road between Johannes Ramokwase and Jacob Street. Randburg, there is a truck accident seen on the N1 northbound after Malibongo Drive, causing heavy delays, and in Midrand, roadwork slowing down traffic. This is on the N1 southbound between Ellendale and the Batlu interchange.
In your sport, a late fitness test to determine Siya Kolisi's availability for second rugby's greatest rivalry test. Gayton McKenzie calls for SAFA to pay Pitso Mosimane his worth as talks over his Bafana Bafana appointment stall. And Abdeslam Wadu taking a cautious approach with tired Oswin Apollos.
A look at your weather. A fine Tuesday is in store for Gauteng. Tomorrow, Johannesburg drops to an overnight low of 5 degrees, peaking at 24. Pretoria 11 and 26, and Vereeniging is 6 and 25 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: alleged crime kingpin Vusmuzi Matlala has been forced to continue with his testimony at the Madlanga Commission this afternoon after 2 failed attempts at a postponement.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive. It is 8 minutes past 4. Right. Great to have you with us on this Monday. Hope you've had a decent start to the week. Hope you had a great weekend. It's lovely to be back. I had a very, very relaxed 6 days out in Mpumalanga. In and around the Kruger National Park. I don't know what it is I said or did to the lion population in that part of the world, but they avoided me studiously. Anyway, I'll be back. Hopefully they will be as well. But seriously, what a gorgeous part of our country. It never fails to amaze and inspire and bewitch me with its many, many wonders. But back to the business of covering all the important stories and hopefully hearing from you on both the serious issues and some of them interesting and important, but not necessarily serious. We asked you a little bit earlier about how you're documenting the many little milestones in the lives of the young people in your life, and how was your life documented by parents, uncles, grandparents, family, friends, or whatever? Photographs of what? Where are the photographs, and are they special memories, or do they make you think, oh my goodness, I can't believe I was wearing that? Maybe it's a mix, as it probably ought to be. Give us a call on that. We've got some wonderful contributions already, which we are going to share with you shortly. Coming up in a moment, we're going to be chatting to Mia Malan. She's founder and editor-in-chief of a really excellent website called Begisisa. Deals with health matters, health policy matters, issues of health ethics, really comprehensive. And today she released a very interesting story about the fact that there are going to be generic weight loss drugs in South Africa, more available, the first of those arriving this month. There are many expected to follow, but firstly, are they well enough priced? And secondly, given some of the perils of an unregulated market in these drugs, are they sufficiently cheap to deal with some of the problems in the unregulated space? A little bit later, we're going to talk rugby. We're going to talk rugby with someone who played for the Springboks many, many times. Butch James, former Springbok and Lions player, will be looking ahead to the All Blacks' next match, once again at Ellis Park. They won't mind going back to the scene of Saturday's triumph to take on the Lions, and it should be a fabulous match. But what is it like facing the All Blacks? And why does Butch think that you really ought to get yourself a ticket and be seated by the time the haka is performed on Tuesday night? He's with us at 10 minutes to 5.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. Hey, on the memories topic, when I grew up, it was pictures, man. There was a camera guy who would walk around the community with the camera, and you'd pay around, I think, 5 rand for a picture, and you'll wait about a week or so to get your picture. And now We use our phones. But also using our phones, the challenge is it's a risk, man, because we lose these phones or they get wiped or whatever the case might be, and you lose all those memories. And that's because we don't develop pictures anymore. So I've started a culture for myself where I develop all the memories that I have and actually go back to creating an album.
Hi, John. I hope you're well, and hi to 702 lenders. So, in my family, I'm the one who like taking pictures. So, what I do, I take pictures, especially for those you see your elder cousin, especially boys who don't like taking pictures. The one that when you approach, they're like, I don't want to take pictures. So, I force them to take pictures. So every time when someone have passed on in my family, they call me. Yeah, they call me and say, hi, do you have picture of so and so? We want to use it for the what word? It's a what do you call that thing of funeral whatever thing? Yeah, they will always call me and ask for those pictures. So I'm the supplier of the family pictures. I now decided to extend my storage in drives so that I can store all those pictures and videos. Yep.
Yeah, thanks. Please do keep those coming. We'll play some more of your thoughts. How do you look after those memories, and what kind of pictures were taken when you were younger? By the way, don't restrict yourself to pictures. Kabazela and I were both reflecting on those little marks on the wall with the date showing how much we had grown, which, stopped eventually, but it was fun while it lasted. 13 minutes past 4. Let's get you home.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie, Pretoria is giving us issues. Whereabouts?
Yeah, that's in the Prince Hof area, leaving the Pretoria CBD, heading towards Gazina. There's a slow-moving traffic on Steve Biko Road between Johannes Ramkhwasi and Jacobs Street. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is in the Centurion area, driving through Roy Hayes Kraal on Old Joburg Road between the N1 and Lenchen. In Randburg, we have that truck accident seen on the N1 northbound after Malibongo Drive, causing heavy delays. Bursley, Kempton Park, also bumper-to-bumper traffic on Pretoria Road approaching Algan, and in Midrand, roadworks causing some delays on the N1 southbound between Allendale and the Betlu interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance Pointsmen can't help you find the perfect parking spot, but they can get the traffic flowing smoothly so you get to the shops before the sale ends. The Outsurance Pointsmen are real heroes in green and purple, easing traffic congestion and making our lives easier for almost 21 years. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Outside of limiting screen time, what are the other things that can really help with eye care? Because I come from the era of just eat your carrots and then we moved on.
Yeah, the carrots are good, so don't stop eating those.
Yes.
But screen time plays a major role. Okay, so encourage obviously regular breaks. Make sure that your kids have good lights if they are doing homework, that their posture is right, not lie on the one arm on the desk, because that all influences vision. Encourage them to play as much as they can outdoor.
Yes.
There's studies that shows the more you're inside, the weaker your eyes become compared to playing outside.
Anna me clear.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Scholar Transport drivers, every winter morning, our children depend on you to get them to school safely. But overloaded vehicles and rushing against time puts lives at risk. Remember, our children are not cargo. Overloading reduces your ability to stop on wet or icy roads. Drive responsibly. Arrive safely. Protect every child, every trip. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
The Hollywood Bets exclusive Spinner Zonke prize drops gives you the chance to win your share of 2.5 million rand in cash and prizes. Bet R2 or more on selected pragmatic play slots every Monday, Tuesday and Thursday from 12:30 to 10:30 p.m. Make every drop count to catch the perfect prize. Join the spinning spectacular now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Head to Dis-Chem for great value on everything you need. Look out for the yellow label to enjoy bulk savings on Better Rewards brands. Swipe your Better Rewards card to get 2+1 cheapest free and an extra 10% off any Comfort fabric softeners. Plus, get 2+1 cheapest free and an extra 10% off any Johnson's Baby products. Valid until 13 September at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let's focus our attention now on this. The first generic weight loss drugs will be hitting the shelves in South Africa. I suppose hitting the shelves is not quite accurate, but will be available from this month. But there are many questions being asked around drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy. One of them is the question of price, and related to price is the extent to which the expense of using that particular medication has driven people into unregulated channels, some of which might actually be dangerous to their health, where people are injecting themselves with something that may actually cause them physical harm. There's an excellent piece looking at all the issues, but also examining the extent to which the generics might bring the prices down sufficiently far. Appearing today on the health website Begisisa, the author of the story, also founder and editor-in-chief at Begisisa, Mia Malan, joins us on 702 Drive. Mia, a very good afternoon to you. Before we talk about the possible benefits of generics, what kind of risks have been created by the massive uptake and desire for people to use these GLP-1s as a way of dealing with weight problems?
Thanks, John. Yes. So the main risk is whether it's safe and whether it actually works.
Yes.
When you start going to the black market, so when a product hasn't been registered by our medicines regulator, SAFA, then you have no idea, first of all, whether the product that you think you're using actually contains the elements that it requires to work. But you also don't know if it's safe, because when drugs go through clinical trials and when SAFA evaluates that information, they don't just check if the drug works, they check if it's safe. And if you have too much of the active ingredient, for instance, in a medicine, it could be life-threatening to you.
Yes.
And secondly, when I spoke to SAFA, some of the black market products, they've actually tested. And one specific product, they didn't give me the name of the company, didn't even contain the active ingredient that it said it did. So it's dangerous for you. It's not just that it may not work as well as you want it to work. It's the fact that it might be life-threatening to you. You simply don't know what you put into your body if a product hasn't been registered.
So moving then into the advent of these generics, the first one in August, and you're saying there are going to be plenty more. But you asked this question, I'll read your question and then ask you perhaps for the answer to your question from what you've gleaned talking to people. The question is, you wrote, will generics bring down the price low enough to take down an illegal market that has grown up in the price gap and get the medication to the people who need them most? I suppose two issues there. A, the illegal market, but secondly, this could make a big, big difference to public health in South Africa, where we're battling a pandemic or an epidemic, certainly of lifestyle diseases. Will the generics actually make sufficient difference from what you've seen?
So right now it's not making a difference. The first product is already on the shelves. It's already being sold by pharmacies. It's a product made by Sun Pharma, which is an Indian generic company, and they are distributing it through a local company called Ranbaxy. And that product is only 18.5% cheaper than the original product. So if you're going to compare that product to Ozempic, the kind of price that you're looking at, the dosage that most people use for Ozempic costs around 3,000 rands per month. And if you compare the generic to that, then you're going to pay around 2,450 rands a month. And remember, you need to use this lifelong. You can't stop or you're going to pick up the weight again. But more importantly, when you start using these products, it doesn't just make the fat burn away. You also lose some muscle. And if you stop using it, then the muscle is not going to come back. So the thing is, we need it significantly cheaper. You could imagine who can afford lifelong 2,500 rands for a product a month if you go by the generic prices at the moment, and medical aids are not required to pay for that. So what works to make the prices go down is if there's competition, so if there are many companies making a generic. Now, at the moment, we only have one product on the market, but SAFA told us that they have 13 more applications pending, for instance, from a local company, Aspen Pharmacare. They're just waiting for approval. So we know that the more products they're going to be, the lower prices are going to become. The other thing that's a factor is scale. In other words, how much of the product you make. Because the more doses they make, the cheaper they can provide it with. Now, in South Africa, to get to scale, you need the public sector to provide it as well, because 84% of people in this country use the public sector. So you need it cheap enough so that the health department can provide it, and they obviously also need to have a policy of providing it. So those are the two things that's going to determine price. How many people are able to use it? And secondly, how much competition is there from companies making it?
Mia, share with me your thoughts on this as a public health issue, because a lot of the conversation is individualized, partly because there's testimony from people about the specific difference it made to them. But in the context of the disease profile that we deal with as a country, and the public health sector bears the largest burden of that, what are the potential public health benefits of government going into this with real intent of making this widely available?
So first of all, John, the World Health Organization has classified obesity as a chronic disease. It's not something where you don't have willpower and that's why you put on weight. It's a medical condition. And we have lots of studies that show us repeatedly that diet and exercise don't work by itself to lose weight and keep it off. So you can lose the weight, but to keep it off, most people put it on again after 2-3 years. Now, we know if someone is obese, there are lots of accompanying conditions that you become much more likely to have. Diabetes, heart conditions, a range of conditions that would require a health department, so a public health sector, to provide lifelong treatment for it. If we invest in obesity treatment and medicine that can help people not develop those conditions, there are immense benefits in the long term. And we also now have a growing body of evidence that shows us that weight loss drugs don't just help people lose weight, but actually reduces a range of other conditions, not just because you don't put on the weight, but there's evidence that shows you're less likely to get heart conditions, they're less likely to get strokes. There's even studies that show that you are better equipped to overcome an addiction like alcohol or substance abuse disorder, for instance. So there are immense benefits in doing this. Having said that, I also want to say that doctors consistently emphasize that you shouldn't just go and take weight loss drugs and then be okay. You should accompany it by exercise, especially because of the muscle loss, so that you do the type of exercises that builds your muscles.
Thank you so much. Lots and lots to think about there. Mia Malan, editor-in-chief and founder of the health website Beggy Sisa. Check out her piece on GLP-1 drugs like Wegovy and Ozempic, the first generic arriving in South Africa in August. And I think there's at least 13 other drugs that are generics, GLP-1s that have been put before the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. So we're going to be talking about this a great deal. Maybe you've got a thought. Perhaps it's you or someone in your family who are using a GLP-1. Tell us what difference it's made. And Mia at the end setting out what she believes to be what could be massive public health benefits for South Africa if government were to go in big on this and try and procure a well-priced supply. 26 minutes past 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So coming up next week is a real highlight for people who are in love with cars, and it could be many things. High-performance vehicles and the races that are built around that kind of high performance, or just the cars that you own or wish you owned, and the accessories that can make driving your vehicle so much more pleasurable and so much safer. So I am talking about the Festival of Motoring. It is on from the 28th to the 30th of August. It's on at the Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit, and it's powered by Westbank. You really should not miss it. Now, there are all sorts of things you can see when you go there, but also things you can do. There are exhilarating track experiences, there are performance cars, there are 4x4 adventures, and all of this with the Kyalami Circuit, which is still a place of fabulous memory for me from the days when we had Grand Prix that with Kyalami as the background to all of this. It's something you've got to go there and experience, not just something you can watch. You may be a serious petrol head looking for your next car, or simply looking for an exciting day out. There's food, there's entertainment, and it's 3 glorious days of motoring energy. So, have you booked a ticket? Why not? You still can. The Festival of Motoring is powered by Westbank at the Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. Let me give you the dates again. 28 to 30 August, so you can pick your date. Go early and you might want to go again. Get your tickets now. They are available on Howler. Don't just hear about it. Be there. All of this in partnership with 702. So, I want you to book your tickets, but I also want to give away 2 tickets for somebody who can give us the most entertaining answer to this question. Have you ever named your car? And if you gave your car a name, why did you give it that name? I bet there's a lovely little story there. I want to hear it. Best way you can do it is in a voice note. Send to 072 702 1702. You can send it as a text, but somehow the story told in your voice, I think, is going to work better. I have never named a car. I'm pretty confident this is never going to happen. But Jonathan Fairburn named your first car? Your first love?
Yeah, I mean...
Four-wheeled love.
Yeah, I actually didn't give the name. It happened by default. So my gran had given me a Mazda 323. I was very fortunate. But it was in not the best shape.
Yes.
And when I eventually took it to school and introduced it to some of my mates, they were like, it's very cool, but not quite a red Ferrari.
And was it a red Mazda?
It was a red Mazda 323. And then...
It's got to start somewhere.
That stuck. So it was always called the red Ferrari. But I was talking to Mr. Chally earlier. He's got a cool name for his favorite.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, my first car was a 1973 VW Beetle.
Okay.
And it was maroon. And by that time, my favorite player was Wayne Rooney. So I called it Rooney.
What a guy. Jeez. Already at a young age with the wayward words. And we get to enjoy it every day with him on 702 Drive. Karabo back, by the way, with the traffic a little bit later. Your first time you gave a car a name. What was the name? Why did you pick it? 072 702 1702. 29 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Mutero Kwaripe, the start of a new week. How are we going?
It's a bit of a tough start on this Monday, John. We start with a very results-heavy week, but the JSE currently weak, 30 minutes out from that market close. We're starting now with the private education group Advotech reporting improved performances for the year to date. Revenue grew by 8% at that company, up 303 million rand. This was up from the 281 million reported in 2025. Most of that growth driven by strong enrollment growth and the inclusion of Regis Runda, that acquisition from Nairobi. Operating profit increased by 11% to 91 million rand. Advotech says the healthy enrollment growth, the moderate fee increases, and further improvement in data management contributed to Advotech delivering interim earnings growth of 16%. Revenue was up 8% to 5 billion rand, while operating profits were up 14%. Advotech, of course, operating private institutions like Crawford International, Trinity House, Cross, Pinnacle and Abbott's College. Then in other news on the market earlier today, MTN reporting their solid results for the first half of the year. MTN saying it recorded strong growth, exceptional profitability and just robust business during the first half of 2026. Total customers are now up 6.7% to 317 million subscribers. Active data subscribers also up 9.1% at MTN. Mobile money, something they've been focusing on over the past years, up 12% to $70.8 billion. Now, fintech transactions volumes also going up during the period to 33.8%, currently at $330 billion. So some healthy results there from MTN. But the market as a whole, not looking as good. The all share down 501 points today. Industrials are weaker. A lot of those companies, the likes of Clicks, Pepcore down today. Naspers also down at 2%, while Process followed suit, down 2%. Mr. Price also coming in lower today, so that's hurting the local market. But one thing that's not going down, of course, is the Rand, quite strong and still holding its own in this afternoon. It's 16.01 against the US dollar, 18 Rand 67 against the euro, and 21 Rand 83 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,666 an ounce, up more than 1%. Platinum at $1,906 an ounce, while Brent crude is now at $92.92 a barrel. More business in about an hour.
Thanks, Mateo. Back with us a little bit later. Right now at 28 minutes to 5, the very latest news. Here's Puleng Make again.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The fraud case of 7 Mfuleni municipality employees could widen, with the state indicating that more charges are expected. The group has been linked to a scheme where they would allegedly instruct customers in debt to pay them privately in order for their electricity to be restored. They currently face 4 charges, including fraud, theft, money laundering and tampering with essential infrastructure. As Anelita Fandese reports.
The 7 municipal workers appeared in the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court today following their arrest by the Gauteng Political Killings Task Team. The state has not yet set out the full scope of the additional charges, but says an investigation into the allegations is continuing. The 7 are expected back in court next week for the bail proceedings, where the state has signalled it will oppose bail. This case puts operations at Mfuleni municipality in the spotlight, a municipality already struggling with billions of rands in debt and a severe service delivery crisis. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
A warrant of arrest issued against media personality Molemo Marohane, popularly known as Jub Jub, will not be enforced until his next court appearance. Marohane did not pitch at the Germiston Magistrates Court this morning, allegedly due to ill health resulting in a warrant being issued. The popular TV presenter faces charges of discharging a firearm in a public place and pointing an object likely to make someone believe it is a firearm. The charges relate to an incident involving an e-hailing driver in Edenvale in June. Investigators later seized a pellet gun from Marohane's residence. The NPA's Makgaboke Mohlatlole.
The case has been postponed by the Germiston Magistrates Court to 7 September 2026. The postponement follows his failure to appear in court, citing ill health, which resulted in a warrant of arrest being issued and held over until the next date. The state is ready to proceed with the matter.
Another bloody night has left 6 people dead in 2 suspected gang-related shootings across Cape Town. Police are investigating triple murders in Athlone and Happy Valley near Blue Downs. In Athlone, 2 men aged 19 and 36 were found dead in a house on Lower Klipfontein Road in Silvertown last night. A third victim, a 22-year-old man, was shot in the head and later died in hospital. Police spokesperson FC van Wyk says in the early hours of this morning, 3 more people were shot dead in Happy Valley.
Mfuleni police members responded to a shooting incident at the premises in Marshall Crescent in Happy Valley. Upon arrival, the bodies of 3 persons, a woman and 2 males aged between 20 and 25, were found in a shack with multiple gunshot wounds. All 3 victims were declared deceased on the scene by the paramedics. Both these incidents are believed to be gang-related and the suspects are yet to be arrested.
And in news making international headlines, an ex-snooker champion has been found guilty of child sex abuse. Graham Dott's allegations span between 1993 and 1996, involving a girl, and in 2006 and 2010 involving a boy. Dott turned professional in 1994 and went on to win the World Snooker Championship in 2006. He had denied any wrongdoing during his trial at the High Court in Glasgow. A quick look at your weather. A fine Tuesday is in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures drops to overnight lows between 2 and 3 degrees, peaking at highs between 16 and 17 degrees.
Prince Hof heading towards Gazina, slow-moving traffic. That's leaving the Pretoria CBD on Steve Biko Road between Johannes Ramokwasi and Jacob Street. Also in Hermanstad, it's slow-moving traffic on Eskiam Patlele between WF Nkomo and the R80. Centurion traffic sluggish on Old Joburg Road, between the N1 and Lenchen.
The top story in Eyewitness News, the fraud case of 7 Mfuleni municipality employees could widen, with the state indicating that more charges are expected.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
The ANC, what a mess this weekend. They were supposed to announce their mayoral candidates, and then they didn't announce the mayoral candidates, and then they announced those people who were in the running to be mayoral candidates, and then they announced their election manifesto. Professor Andre Duvenhagen, how damaging do you think that'll be for the ANC?
It is a total anticlimax. If we look at the 5-6 points of their manifesto, there's nothing new. They couldn't provide mayoral candidates. In fact, for Joburg, there are at least 3 names, Lozisu, Masuku, Dada Moreru, and the possibility of Frank Shikane. So there's huge uncertainty.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Mavis, I wonder if I should sell my car. I'm not sure where to go.
Wanna sell your car, but don't know what to do. You don't have to go far, we come to you. If you're rolling in a 1.5 or a Lacquer 2.2, doesn't matter what you drive, we buy cars once you.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Some parcels are more than parcels. They're gifts, opportunities, supplies, and moments people are counting on. That's why Career It makes it easy to book, send, and track your parcel online, moving it from your door to anywhere nationwide. And with 2,700 pickup points, sending has never been more convenient. With real-time visibility, reliable delivery, and people who care, we help you deliver what matters. Move it with Career It, because your parcel deserves more. Sign up on careerit.co.za.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hey, Uncle John. So I drive the old Polo 1.6. I think it's a 2008 Polo 9N model. So I've got some rims and subs and everything. So the car is looking really nice. But, on the road it's really slow because I have to drive slow because of, the Joburg roads, potholes and uneven roads. So you have to take care of the rims. So I've named my car Slowy. So every time I'm driving my car, my daughter she's asking, Dad, why are we driving so slow? And I said, you remember, she's Slowy.
Hi, Tata John. My car's nickname is Ntlantalax because of the number plate LX. So I named it Ntlantalax. It's a Polo GTI.
Hi, John. I drive an Opel Corsa Bucky. It is silver in color, and I call her Silver Rani. Silver because of the color, and Rani as in princess in the Indian language called Tamil. So Silver Rani.
Hey 702 listeners, I have a friend who genuinely believes that all cars need to have female names, and then when he got his Bucky, he realized that no, this Bucky is so butch and so strong that he can't give it a female name, so he decided to call it a name that can be used for a female or a male. So he decided to call his Bucky Alex because it sounds strong, but it's still a girl.
How's it, John? So just on the naming of the cars, so I have a funny story. So when I started dating my wife, So she had a car before me, and it was a Ford, and she called it Frank. So I mean, I didn't think much about it, and it was all good. I drove it, fell in love with the car and everything. It was, it became our car. So later I found out, so Frank was her ex. I was like, oh my God, okay. I mean, I hated that car immediately. I hated that car immediately. But much later, we resolved the thing. We ended up selling it. In fact, I sold it. And then we got a car together. And yeah, happily ever after. Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Yeah, well, I mean, after you found out it was named after the ex, did you sort of like work the clutch and brake harshly and, park carelessly and so on? Guys, what do you reckon? I mean, 4 nice stories.
I would go for Slowy. It was a cute little story there involving the kids.
Yeah?
I am definitely also going for Slowy. It hit a little trigger in my heart.
Okay,
Slowy's got Slowy as well.
Slowy and certain wins the race. Congratulations. The owner of Slowy is now also the owner of 2 tickets to the Festival of Motoring. We're going to do the same thing tomorrow at the same time every day. So around 20 minutes past 4, we're going to ask you a question. And if you don't win a ticket, buy some tickets anyway, because it's going to be 3 fabulous days out at Kyalami, 28th to 30th of August. There's high energy stuff, and there's just the wonder of looking at beautiful machinery and chatting to people who know a lot about cars. And that, of course, could be you. So go and learn some more and have some fun. The Festival of Motoring out at Kyalami, 28 to 30 August. It's 18 minutes now to 5 o'clock.
EWN Sport.
Sure. Tola Kele. We have the Springbok 23 announced earlier than it was last week. What do we know?
While John Rassie Erasmus says Siya Kolisi's all-round game is better suited to match New Zealand. That's as he penciled in the Springbok captain for Saturday's second rugby greatest rivalry test. Should he pass a late fitness test, Kolisi will slot into the starting 15 at the expense of Paul de Villiers, who will drop out of the matchday 23 entirely.
He has got some strengths. One of them is the attacking breakdown. He's really good at sorting that out fast, which was an area which we struggled with. I think there was lots of times that we played really badly, and not because they did anything illegal. We just couldn't get him away out of the breakdown when we were in really good attacking positions. Sia's really good at that, and then he's really good at getting us width from defense. Him and Peter together, we call it the gates. They are really well organized in the defensive sets in the gates.
Sports Minister Gaten McKenzie has accused SAFA of liking to create a crisis as talks over Pitso Musimane's Bafana appointment stall. Image rights and failure to agree on a monthly salary are said to be at the center of the association, not yet confirming Musimane as head coach. That follows an NEC recommendation that he should succeed Hugo Bruch. SAFA Technical Director Molefi Ntseki will now reportedly take charge of Bafana. That's for next month's AFCON 2027 qualifiers.
Some money should be paid. The least they can do is to start him with the way that they started Bruce. Because black people still have that hurt that they were underpaid, undervalued. We cannot have that. Sometimes you ask yourself, but who's taking these decisions? Who's taking decisions to... They love crises, that's the problem. Even a thing they can just sort out easily, they must make a crisis.
Orlando Pirates have one foot in a 5th consecutive MTN 8 final, having won the first leg of their semi-final against Kukune United 1-0. However, it was another lackluster showing from winger Oswin Apollos, and coach Adeslam Wadu says they know why he's had a slow start to the season.
He's one of our best players, and when you have a diamond in your house, you have to protect him. A police is a police, you know him. It's somebody, even if he's 50%, let's say even 40%, he can score at any moment. We are not surprised. He's not only the player that is not in the fitness state that we want. In Europe as well, all the guys who have been in the World Cup, we can see that it's difficult for them.
And the opening round of the Premier League game saw Arsenal and Manchester City claim wins. Liverpool drew with Newcastle United, while there were defeats for Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur. Despite their 2-1 comeback win over Bournemouth, Enzo Maresca says there was no clear improvement in City's performance than the one they put on in the Community Shield.
To be honest, I feel in the same position we were after Arsenal. I know that most of the time it's normal that you judge because of the results, but I don't see big difference from 1 week ago and today. Unfortunately, this is a work in progress. That's why I'm looking for new solution. Mark gave me the fielder. We need to prepare the teams for one season. But again, for sure, when you win games, help the environment, help for the fans, help the team, everyone. We are all more happy today than 1 week.
Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
14 minutes to 5 o'clock. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Pretoria was troublesome earlier. Pretoria is troublesome now.
Yep.
I don't know if it's still in the same spot or it's getting worse.
No, it's at the same spot, John. That's in the Prince Hof area, leaving the Pretoria CBD, heading towards Gazina. Slow-moving traffic on Steve Biko Road between Johannes Ramokgase and Jacob Street. In Hermanstad, also leaving the Pretoria CBD, heading towards Soshanguve. Expect some delays on Eskiam Pahlele between WF Nkomo and the R13. In Centurion, traffic sluggish on Old Joburg Road between the N1 and Lynchen. In Rudeport, there's traffic pressure on Dekker. So this is between the Golf Club Terrace and Sonop. Randburg, there's a truck accident scene on the N1 northbound after Malibongo Drive, causing heavy delays, while in Midrand, roadworks causing some delays on the N1 southbound. This is between Ellendale and the Batlu interchange. And in Benoni, bumper-to-bumper traffic on Atlas Road between Main Reef Road and the N12. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Clever excuses for being late, number 96. My dog ran out and I had to chase him for 5 kilometers. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in the FSP.
The Standard Bank Joy of Jazz returns on September 25 and 26.
Thank you so much.
Join 702 at the Dina Lady stage. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive. It's 12 minutes to 5 o'clock. Now, this kind of caught my eye, and I'll read it for you and then get your thoughts. Someone called Penny posted this, dear Woolworths, this product, and she posts a picture of a muesli product. This product was recently 92 Rand, then it was 103 Rand, and it is now 109 Rand. Why? You continually raise prices by a Rand or two. Why? And do not ask me to DM you with my details. Answer the general public right here. Now, we're not going to get into the price of muesli, but I am interested to know, as a more general thing, have you encountered price increases on something where you just finally, I'm just going to use the word lose it, but use it loosely. In other words, you don't necessarily, start ripping up the aisles or, destroying products or anything like that. But you just decide, okay, this has become too expensive. I no longer want to buy it. And it may be to do with the price of the thing or your sense of value. In other words, for the price, this is not of great value for what I'm getting. So, Tholakele, do you at a certain point say, okay, I'm done. I like this stuff. It's something I like to eat, or it's a shampoo I particularly enjoy using, whatever it might be. But no, I'm done. Do you have that tipping point?
I'm not bashing this product. In fact, if they want to make me their spokesperson, I am available.
Yeah.
My email is in my bio on Twitter.
Okay, there we go.
Pringles, please stop raising the price. It's enough. When I started buying them for myself, it was like $30. It's up to 77 Rand, John.
Oh my
and we're not
goodness.
even getting like 2 for 77 Rand, just 1. And there's too much air for there to be that much of amount to pay for Pringles. So please lower the prices.
Maybe what they can do with Pringles is like a deposit on the tin. When I was a kid, you used to bring the bottle back.
I would do that.
Yes,
I would do that. But please, Pringles, sponsor me, but also lower the prices.
Pringles, you have been approached. You have been solicited. you'll tell us. I mean, what kind of spokesperson would you be? Just like crunchy noises before each sports bulletin.
Every day I'll just bring a packet for everyone. Don't ask me where I got it.
I'll do the sound effects. We'll split the tins. Karabo Charlie, is there anything that you buy and you say, you know what, I'm done?
Unfortunately, I can't help it but to carry on buying it. It's red meat. Geesh, my fridge is there's less and less red meat in my fridge as the years go. And, but I can't stop buying it. It's one of those things that I'll just have to suck it up and just pay for it.
Well, they're great recipes for halloumi quiches. I can send you a few. I've never used them, but hey, give them a whirl. 702 Drive, stuff that you've bought that you have just decided, you know what, I'm done. I am absolutely done. It may be the price, in other words, the number on the little tag on the shelf, or it might just be you're saying, you know what, for that money, this isn't value anymore. Give us your stories, please. 011 883 0702. So far, we have red meat, we have Pringles. What was the other one? Oh, yeah. Penny raised the issue of muesli, Woolies muesli on X. Your story, please, on 072 702 1702.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes to 5 o'clock. Well, there's something really special about watching the All Blacks play rugby. And I have to say, there's something really, really special about watching rugby at Ellis Park. Now, you might say, were you there on Saturday? Did you see the score? Yes, I was, and yes, I did. But none of that detracts from anything. Something about those men running out in black, yes, you'd like them to leave with their heads a little, not held quite as high as they were on Saturday, but they really are an iconic part of rugby, and especially when they play at, I think, still the nicest stadium in the country. Well, tomorrow night, another chance to see the All Blacks. Tickets are still available for their match against the Lions. This is a reminder of the All Blacks tours that I remember when I was a kid. They'd come here, they'd play 4 test matches. It was usually 4, as I recall, but they play against all the provincial teams as well. And often those games were as exciting. So let's look ahead to tomorrow night. Kickoff is at 9 at 7 p.m. There will be train travel available. I took the Gautrain, took the Prasa train and went back the same way. And it was fantastic. Actually, a wonderful way to get to the ground and back. Butch James is somebody who knows all about playing for the Lions and crucially knows something, a great deal, in fact, about playing against the All Blacks. I think, Butch James, a very good afternoon to you. You faced them on 8 or 9 occasions. Tell us why there is that aura about an All Blacks match, why amidst all the other fixtures that have their allure as well, there's something very special about the Kiwis when they come here.
Yeah, how's it, John? It's fantastic. I was there at the game at Ellis Park on Saturday, and it was a great atmosphere. And it's always good to be watching the All Blacks play. I think against them because they normally are the best team in the world. I think they're back up at number 1 now after beating us on Saturday. So it's a great opportunity for the 10-bet Lions tomorrow to go out there and play against the best in the world, and who knows, they maybe cause a little upset, which would be fantastic.
I mean, you know something about the journey of a rugby player, the opportunities that come your way when you playing franchise rugby. For you, it was mainly with the Sharks, although you had time at the Lions as well, some time in the UK with Bath as well. But for the young players who've been picked to represent the Lions tomorrow, This is really special. I mean, it wouldn't be beyond the possibilities that some of them may be back at Ellis Park against the All Blacks, but this time in green and gold. That must be a huge motivation for them.
Yeah, I think we saw it when Western Stormers played, I think they're Western Province or Stormers, when they played against the All Blacks in the opening game of the tour.
Right.
They really performed really well and put up a good fight in. Dion Fourie had an exceptional game there. I know he's been in the Springboks quite already, but that got him another call-up. He played really well there. So there's normally a number of injuries in a tour like this. So who knows? If one of the Lions guys can put up their hands tomorrow night, they might end up facing the All Blacks again later on in the month.
Butch, let's talk a little bit about Ellis Park as a venue. Special for you. You made your Springbok debut there back in June of 2001 against France. I mean, everybody will say, and maybe as someone from Durban, you might feel a little loyal to Kings Park, but it's a very, very special ground to watch the game, not least because you get such a great view, but the atmosphere as well.
Yeah, look, obviously playing a lot at Durban and for the Sharks. I loved playing at Kings Park, but my favourite stadium to play is Ellis Park. Being a kicker, the ball travels nice and far there at altitude, and there's not much wind there either. So, I really loved playing there, and I'm sure all the other fly-offs and hookers as well like to play there as there's not much wind.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. So, I mean, looking ahead to tomorrow's game, I mean, in the midst of, the focus on Saturday's a test match, this game is important for the All Blacks as well, because you mentioned players who could put their hand up and, an injury here and there, they might be picked for the Springboks. That's even more true for the All Black players. They're going to be taking this one very seriously too, I would have thought.
Yeah, they'll definitely take it seriously. I'm sure it's same as in South Africa. To put the Springbok jersey on, you've got a huge responsibility, and it's no different for New Zealand. They've all got a huge responsibility to perform and perform well tomorrow. It will be a big occasion for all of them playing, and like you say, they want to stay on top of their game just in case there is an injury. They want to be next in line to play the test matches, and it's going to be a tough task. I think there'll be one or two guys that will need to be involved tomorrow, maybe on the bench or a couple of minutes on the field,
yes.
And then they will need to play on Saturday as well. So it's quite a tough task to juggle, especially for the coaches, and then they'll probably travel down to Cape Town Wednesday and get ready for the test match on Saturday.
Butch James, thank you very much. Former Springbok and Lions player, distinguished career, played 42 tests for the Springboks over 10 years. We appreciate his time. Now, just to remind you of the details for tomorrow. First of all, you can get there on the Gout train, pick it up at any of the stations. Once you get to Park Station, there's a Prasa train waiting that'll take you literally to the doorstep of Ellis Park. And many of you who were involved with us in the 702 Walk the Talk in partnership with Josie took that train and will know just how smoothly it works. Pick up your tickets and see, because there's still a good number of tickets available for tomorrow's game. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock, so you should make it in good time. And just a thought on where you sit on Saturday. I happen to be sitting about 7 or 8 rows from the field. Normally, I like to sit quite high up and get a kind of almost a TV view of the game, seeing the whole pitch. But there's something very special I found on Saturday about being close to the pitch, because boy, do you get a sense, first of all, of the physicality of the games. And man, some of those guys are big. So wherever you sit, make sure you're there. The Lions up against the All Blacks tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Ellis Park. Be there.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Gauteng police are warning public officials involved in crime that they will be arrested. This alert comes ahead of the court appearance of 7 employees from the Mfuleni local municipality who are facing charges of fraud, theft, and tampering of essential infrastructure. They were arrested over the weekend by the Gauteng Political Killings Task Team. The suspects are accused of being part of a scheme where they allegedly instructed residents whose electricity supply had been disconnected to pay money into private bank accounts for restoration.
EWN. In touch, in tune, and independent.
Corporates that care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. This Wednesday at 10 to 9, Bongani Bingwa will be joined by Old Mutual's Chief Executive of Group Social Investments, Ndumiso Zulu. They'll be talking about the work they're doing to help build a better South Africa. Tune in to 702 and join the conversation. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, walk the talk.
You hear that? That's the sound of business execution finally visible. No more chasing people and reports. No more disconnected systems. No more guessing if our business is performing or not. iStratGo connects strategy, people, performance, and day-to-day work into one clear software platform so leaders can see what's working, what's not, and where to focus. Because when execution is visible, everything runs better. Book a demo on istratgo.com. istratgo.com.
The Festival of Motoring, powered by Westbank, returns to the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit from 28th to 30 August. Experience thrilling track drives, supercars, drifting, 4x4 adventures, and the very latest in automotive innovation. Book your tickets now on Howler, the Festival of Motoring, where legacy meets innovation.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Buleng Make. Matlala questioned over links to Shadrack Sibiya. Lamola concludes testimony at the TRC inquiry. Alleged crime boss Vusmuzi Matlala has been pressed to give details of his relationship with suspended top police officer Shadrack Sibiya. Matlala started his testimony this afternoon after a morning of applications by his legal team to have his testimony postponed. The alleged Big Five cartel member has been forced to continue testifying temporarily, abandoning his application on his right to avoid self-incrimination. Komotso has more.
Vusmuzi Matlala has been guarded when answering questions from evidence leader Advocate Mahlapi Sillo on his relationship with suspended crime detection boss General Shadrack Sibiya, only pointing out that they are not friends.
What was the nature of your relationship with him? The description, nature or description of your relationship?
I do not know how to answer this question, Commissioner. You say nature.
Were you friends?
No.
So your engagements with him?
The engagement, hence I said, is something which is under investigation.
Matlala has testified that he was connected to Sibiya by now criminally accused cop Sergeant Baninkosi because he had a dispute with Public Works over a lease agreement of a hospital at a SAPS college. Matlala claims Sibiya never once called him, and in all their interactions, they had Nkosi as the go-between. This is despite him admitting to attending an engagement party of one of Sibiya's children. Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola has denied recollection of a memorandum by former NDPP Shamila Batoy, saying those who interfered in the prosecution of TRC-related cases should be held accountable. Lamola was testifying at the conclusion of his cross-examination at the TRC inquiry, probing long-standing delays into the prosecution of apartheid-era crimes. The former Justice Minister refused to be drawn into who should be accountable for the delays, only stating that he would account for his own role. Meanwhile, the family of anti-apartheid activist Steve Biko has bemoaned finding setbacks related to the inquest probing his death in 1977. Biko's family was in the Gqeberha High Court today for what they meant to be the hearing and the beginning of the hearings instead. The court spent much of the day seeking clarity on who would foot the bill for the legal representation of Biko's widow, Nontsikelelo, who is expected to testify. The inquest was reopened in September last year, almost 50 years after Biko died from severe injuries sustained in police custody. Reports.
After hours of evidence from a Legal Aid South Africa executive, the court was finally told that the Justice Department had agreed to cover the cost of Nontsikelelo Biko's legal representation. Legal Aid South Africa had told the court it did not have the budget to fund her lawyer. It also said that under its funding criteria, Biko's widow did not qualify for legal aid. The court, however, questioned whether such a narrow approach was appropriate, arguing that legal representation in a matter of this nature had to be considered in context. Biko's son Nkosinati says the funding question should have been resolved before the family set foot in court.
I am glad Mrs. Biko was not here. I deliberately wanted to keep her away from that kind of conversation. She bears no burden for the attainment of justice for the murder of her husband.
The first witness is expected to take the stand tomorrow. Or see Konamalingamlisi, Eyewitness News in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape.
Former eThekwini Mayor Zandile Gumede says that she's turning her focus on the upcoming elections as her corruption trial looks set for another protracted delay. Gumede made a brief appearance at the Durban High Court where the trial was postponed due to one of the accused having been admitted to hospital after he was struck by a car over the weekend. Gumede is charged alongside 21 others for unlawfully benefiting from a 320 million rand waste collection tender. Tabiso Koba has more.
Today was Zandile Gumede's first court appearance since she dumped the ANC and joined the Umkhonto weSizwe party. She appeared in court wearing a black dress and an MK party scarf draped over her shoulders. While at the ANC, Gumede was asked to step aside from her political duties, with ANC members also prevented from showing up to court to support her. However, no such conditions have been imposed at the MK party.
Since we are here, I want to shift from the court and speak as the deputy chair of the MK party in KZN. I want to thank you all for the support ever since I joined the MK party, or ever since it became official that I'm an MK member. We are now going to elections, and comrades, you cannot let any bickering or anything else distract us from that.
Gumede is due back in court on Wednesday. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Durban.
The DA and the ANC's biggest partner in the Government of National Unity has taken a swipe at its local government election manifesto, saying it can't expect voters to once again vote for a party that is responsible for much of the dysfunction in local municipalities. DA leader Jordan Hill-Lewis says the ANC's promise that it will fix municipalities within 100 days and fill every critical vacancy within 120 days is impossible and lacks integrity. The ANC launched its manifesto over the weekend, with President Cyril Ramaphosa acknowledging the party's failures and vowing that the party's non-performing mayors would not be protected. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Following the launch of the ANC's election pledges over the weekend, the DA says the ANC is making promises it can't reasonably fulfill in the time frame suggested. DA leader Jordan Hill-Lewis says only his party can bring integrity to the state, stop corruption and repair basic services.
The ANC's manifesto asks South Africans to believe that the same party that has presided over the collapse of municipalities across the country will suddenly fix them again within 100 days.
Meanwhile, Build One South Africa has also been critical of the ANC's election pledges. Party leader Musi Maimane says the country's largest party continues to deceive South Africans by making more empty promises, including to reduce municipal debt.
The ANC has allowed municipalities to collect money that citizens have paid for to buy water and use it for other services within the municipality.
Maimane says the municipal election should be characterized by competence rather than empty promises. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Gold's trading at $4,673.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.02 to the dollar, 21.85 to the pound, 18.68 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $93.39 a barrel.
Traffic pressure in Roodepoort on Decker Street. This is between Golf Club Terrace and Sonop, while in Four Ways, traffic congested on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Broad Acres Drive. And there's also a truck accident scene in Randburg. This is on the N1 northbound after Malibongwe Drive, causing heavy delays.
In your sport, Rassie Erasmus admits his big gamble backfired as he rings the changes for second rugby's greatest rivalry test. Alvaro Arbeloa and Xabi Alonso put their friendship aside as Fulham face Chelsea in their Premier League opener. And Miguel Cardoso targets winning domestic cups as Mamelodi Sundowns lose the first leg of the MTN 8 semi-final.
A look at your weather. A fine Tuesday is in store for Gauteng. Tomorrow, Johannesburg drops to an overnight low of 5 degrees, peaking at 24. Pretoria 11 and 26, and Vereeniging 6 and 25 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Kat Matlala has been pressed to give details of his relationship with suspended top police officer Shadrack Sibia.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 drive, 10 minutes past 5. Good to have you with us on this Monday in August. Coming up on the show, you know, we've spoken a lot, and of course the President every year in the State of the Nation address talks about infrastructure as a driver of economic growth. We hear the expression, turn the country into a construction site. We've heard it often. We've heard it from more than one politician. And yet we are struggling to actually get this infrastructure program going as well and efficiently and effectively as it should. What is the problem? We're going to be talking to Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson, who had some very interesting things to say about it at a conference over the weekend down in Cape Town. There are blockages, and we're starting to get a very clear idea of what the blockages are. The crucial thing, of course, is what will unblock them. He's with us on that. Another minister making a statement of a very different kind, Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, saying that he gave SAFA 13 million rand to implement VAR. They haven't done it. He wants his money back. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail with somebody who we've consulted on this issue at the very first time. The minister mooted his desire to actually bring this in. Ngobile Ndlovu is the founder of Cash and Sport Research and Advisory. How far would 13 million rand have gone towards actually bringing VAR in? If it was nowhere near enough, maybe it shouldn't have been paid over until there were guarantees given about the balance. Anyway, more on that a little later with Ngobile. I'm really looking forward to getting his thoughts. We asked you about goods where the price has gone up to the point where you say, you know what, I am not buying this anymore. The list we're accumulating is a long one. Let's hear a few of your gripes.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Dr. John. Welcome back. Dr. John, I have just completely given up on Magnum. Really, I love ice cream in general, but I loved Magnum. Magnum has lost weight. It is so scroll and it is so expensive. I just have stopped. It's not value for money. It's not worth it. It adds nothing to my life except a little bit of happiness, but no, I'm done. Thank you.
Hey, John, great show. Sean from Springs. I'll tell you what really irritates me is our coffee's gone up because I love Jacobs. Okay, so the thing is, once you drink Jacobs, you can't drink Greek coffee or Frisco anymore. It just isn't the same. So yeah, the little bottles are like $80, but I mean, you actually paying for that fancy bottle. I mean, who cares about the bottle? Put it in plastic, and lower the price. But yeah, that's my issue. Coffee. I'm a coffeeholic. I'll admit it. Have a good one.
Late to the conversation, but I agree. Pringles are way too expensive, and I think you can change from using toothpaste to using.
Yeah, thank you for all of those. We've got a few more of them. Please keep your complaints and happiness. And anyone associated with those products, if you want to come in and fight your corner, defend the price, defend the quality and the bulk and the heft of a particular product like an ice cream or anything else, you know where to get us. 072 702 1702. We're still in Women's Month. We thought we'd celebrate women with our music theme for today. Your favorite song with a woman's name in the title. We thought we'd start off with this one. Nobody did that one quite like Dolly Parton. Your song, please. Favorite song with a woman's name in the title to 072 702 1702. We'll be banging out the tracks sometime around 20 to 6. At 14 minutes past 5, let's bring you the latest from the roads.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Chali, we've had our fill of Tshwane problems. Rudaput is coming, I was going to say, to the party. It's not really a party, is it? What's happening out west?
Yeah, there's a traffic pressure. This is in the Rudaput area on Deckers between Golf Club Terrace and Sonop, while in Fourways, traffic congested on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Broad Acres Drive. In Randburg, there's a truck accident scene on the N1 northbound after Malibongo Drive, causing heavy delays. Also in Midrand, a truck accident scene. This is causing delays on the N1 southbound between New Road and the Batlu interchange, while in Benoni, bumper-to-bumper traffic on Atlas Road between Main Reef Road and the N12, while in Bursley, Kempton Park, slow-moving traffic on Pretoria Road approaching Algan. In Pretoria, Prince Hof area, there's a slow-moving traffic towards Gazina on Steve Biko Road. Between Johannes Ramokwase and Jacob Street, Hermanstad also expects some delays. This is on Eskiam Patlele between WF Nkomo and the R80, and in Centurion, traffic sluggish on Old Joburg Road between the N1 and Lenchen. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
OUTsurance knows insurance isn't tested on promises, it's tested when it's time to claim. The Ombudsman, an independent body that rules on complaints, confirmed in their 2025 annual report that OUTsurance had the lowest overturned ratio of complaints received. The question is, are you with the insurer that treats their clients the fairest? OUTsurance delivers when it's time to claim. So why don't you switch for peace of mind? Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Do it today. Licensed insurer and FSP, TCs and information online.
702 proudly presents the Dina Letty stage at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2026.
We're gonna have some fun. You guys ready?
This is Jazz Reignited.
Jazz.
Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Well, South Africa has no shortage of infrastructure needs, and there is no shortage of infrastructure projects on the books. The problem is getting them to development stage. That's the first line of a very interesting story on MoneyWeb, written by Kieran Ryan. It refers to comments made by the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson. He was speaking at a conference on sustainable infrastructure in Cape Town over the weekend. And the numbers that come out is that while there are these projects, 263 of them, more than half of them remain on the drawing board, waiting to get past the feasibility stage. Minister McPherson joins us now on 702 Drive. Minister, welcome and thanks very much for your time. I mean, the issues that you highlight, feasibility studies incomplete, approvals delayed, funding models are unclear, projects not packaged in a way that investors can support. Surely this is all falls under the category of shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, this is stuff that ought to be done better, surely.
Well, I think there are two things, John. The first one is that in the last 18 months, we've completed R250 billion worth of infrastructure projects.
Right.
So we are making some progress. The second point that I would make is that to deal with the very issue that you have highlighted is why we responded with our project preparation facility, which was the first of its kind in democratic South Africa, that sought to allocate 600 million rand to project preparation that Infrastructure South Africa allocates through various bid windows. We're now into bid window 3, so that we're able to draw that funding into catalytic, high growth, high potential projects that we can then take for funding to actually answer that question. So currently we're involved with around 500 billion rand worth of infrastructure projects that are now currently in documentation and procurement. And then on top of that, we have another 268 billion rand worth of projects that we have been taking through project preparation so that we can actually get them to financing and funding.
So in terms of financing and funding, I mean, obviously, you cannot come to a funder if you haven't put your packaging together and you're saying that that particular problem has been dealt with. Is that, though, poorly prepared proposals. Is that's what has mainly stopped the private sector or perhaps multilateral bodies, development banks, from stepping forward and saying, yeah, it's an important bridge, we'll give you money for it?
Look, I think it's one of the reasons. But it's the other reasons is that, the capability and capacity, particularly in local government, which is what we are focusing on in the Sustainable Infrastructure Conference, is a big constraint.
Yes.
That's also why Infrastructure South Africa has really focused on local government, because that's where the greatest need is. John, I think on a show a couple of weeks ago with you, I took you through that research of ours had shown that only 1 in 6 government tenders in infrastructure was actually being awarded.
Right.
And that's why we have taken ourselves down this road. So while we aren't responsible for the procurement of those, we definitely have a responsibility as the coordinating department to make sure that as many of these projects that come to market.
Okay, Minister, I don't know if you're in a position
Government.
where... Yeah, there we go. I just missed the last thing you said. You've
Yes.
taken responsibility to do, then we lost the line. If you could just wrap that thought.
Yes, I do apologize. So while we aren't responsible for procurement,
Yes.
we're responsible as the national coordinating authority to try and help those spheres of government, local municipalities and SOEs to bring those projects to the fore. And that's really what we are doing. And I think that we're now starting to build up a momentum and cadence on that.
Thanks so much, Minister Dean McPherson, Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. Check out Kieran Ryan's piece on the Money website. There's some very interesting information there. And if you work in the construction sector, in whatever capacity, I mean, what are you seeing? Are you seeing more infrastructure projects becoming, I think the phrase always used is shovel-ready? Are you seeing better prospects for the work that you do? Maybe you don't own a construction company or run one, but maybe you're a civil engineer or somebody involved in up or downstream activities in the infrastructure space. I'd love to hear from you, because it's at that level that we really get a clear sense, rather than the big macro numbers, as to whether things are starting to turn or not. So if you can shed some light, we are in the market for the light you can shed. 072 702 1702, 22 minutes past 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
On 702, let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus on this. Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, very unhappy and expressing that unhappiness that he had given 13 million rand of public money to SAFA to implement VAR. He says it doesn't look like anything is happening, and now he wants his money back. But I think the position is a little bit more complicated than simply that, because my understanding is that VAR would have cost significantly more than that 13 million, however much of a contribution that was. The question of whether that's the best use of public money is a different conversation, and we've had that before. But let's look at the numbers and what they mean. Ngobile Ndlovu is a regular guest on the station. We always enjoy having him on this show. He's founder of Cash and Sport Research and Advisory. Ngobile, welcome, and it's great to have you back. We, way back, when this was first mooted, asked you how much it would cost to actually implement VAR to get it going. 13 million rand would have been how much towards the larger number? What is that larger number? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. 13 million rand is just the exploratory figure to try and get an understanding of what it's going to cost and train up some referees.
Okay.
The initial amount that was handed to SAFA was actually 20 million rand. They already spent 7 million towards understanding, towards getting pitches and proposals and sending people to Spain and other parts of the world to try and understand exactly what it would cost. 13 million is what hasn't been spent up now. We actually don't know whether it's been spent or not, actually, because it was given to SAFA, but we don't know whether that money is going to be given back to government or not.
It's an interesting thing for me, because, we were just chatting about it before, and if somebody comes to you and says, listen, we want to build a small-sized mall in an underserved rural area, it's going to cost 50 million, are you good for 5? Most people would say, I may be good for 5, but I want to see guarantees for at least another 2025 before I put money in. Do you happen to know whether government got any indications from SAFA as to whether other money would be coming in to actually make this thing happen? Because if there were no such guarantees, I would suggest that this was fruitless.
Well, the overall cost for VAR, as I said last time when I spoke to you, was somewhere in the region of 84 million rand.
Right.
Now, government, and as I said in the last conversation, and this was critical, this is not a SAFA project, nor is it a PSL project. This was essentially a government project where government and the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture was pushing for VAR to be introduced. So therefore, my understanding of the situation is that there was no guarantee from SAFA that they would be able to get the requisite balance in order to keep VAR going beyond the initial amount. Because if you remember, initially government had said that they would pay for VAR. And then, at that time, federations in the sports fraternity and arts and culture then complained and said our money is being used towards paying for VAR. That decision was then reversed, and then it was said 20 million would go to the federation, which is SAFA, and then the money would then come up. The rest of the money would then come up towards paying for VAR on an ongoing basis. We never got an answer as to where that money would come from. And this was always the critical problem. And part of the reason why, as far as I know it, VAR won't be implemented in South Africa anytime soon, because there's no guarantee as to where the rest of the money will come from, not just in year one, but the subsequent years thereafter, because according to our estimates, it will cost roughly 30 million rand to keep VAR going beyond year one.
I'm focused on, whether the minister and the ministry should have paid this money across, because it's a little bit like, a relative or a parent saying, I'm going to buy you an incredibly expensive Hugo Boss mustard-colored velvet suit, and then getting unhappy when you don't wear it, when you were clearly indicating that this isn't your style. But surely SAFA had some responsibility here and say, look, don't give us this money. We don't have the balance. Let's go further and deeper into this thing, and then decide collectively. I mean, I don't think SAFA gets off scot-free on this if that scenario is the one that played out.
Yeah, absolutely. And this isn't the first time, by the way. SAFA in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, was offered sponsorship money towards VAR by MultiChoice. Mm-hmm. And SAFA at that time wasn't ready to implement VAR. The second time round is now where essentially the sports ministry has essentially given them money, and again they're not ready to implement it, and there's no guarantees as to where the money will come from. I think there's culpability on both sides, both on the ministry side in terms of assuming that there would be money and that this money would be put to good use, and then obviously on SAFA's side in terms of saying, well, you want the football landscape to be of a high level and of a premium level. Why are you not coming to the table and actually just doing the things required in order to implement it? Because obviously, I think what would have happened is that the ministry would have come to some sort of arrangement with other sponsors in order to make this happen. This is my assumption.
Yeah.
But the fact that SAFA up to now has done nothing is hugely problematic, because it says to whoever that sponsor is that this isn't a serious project, so don't worry about getting involved.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary situation, but thank you for many, many rays of light on an otherwise murky picture. Ngobile Ndlovu is founder of Cash and Sport Research and Advisory. I mean, ultimately, let's just not lose sight of this number. 13 million as a component of a much larger grant of 20 million rand. That is all public money in a world of sport and art and culture, where there's so many developmental and sustainable smaller ticket items that actually need the cash. So there's a lot of questions to be answered. We did extend an invitation to Minister Mackenzie. We haven't had a response to that. I think we have contacted SAFA. If we haven't yet, we certainly will be contacting them. But I think some answers are due, because, if this was a private deal, that's one thing, but this is public money. And its effective use is of critical importance. More on that later, but if you've got a view, please do call us 072 702 1702, 29 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
A very good afternoon once again to Moteo Juaripe. A review of the day's trade, a look ahead to the money show. All yours.
Well, it's been quite cautious, John, also in Europe. European shares were little changed today as higher gold prices gave them some support, but also just those US sanctions that are expected on Iran keeping the risk appetite in check. The European stock 600 marginal today, and that was the story as well. In the US markets, they're opening quite lower. The S&P 500 still quite low at this current moment, so showing just how much cautious things are as the US, of course, plans to slap Iran with those high economic sanctions as they try to win over the Strait of Hormuz. The broader market index fell 0.3% in the US, while the Nasdaq Composite that houses mostly tech shares was also lower. The Dow Jones Industrial trading up by just 142 points. So a lot of things quite marginal. We're seeing that pain come through to the JSE, down more than 1,000 points as markets closed at 5 o'clock. Industrials down more than 1%. Banking stocks reeling by 1%, while mining shares were also in the red. Some of the biggest losers included Optasia, they were down 5%, Mr. Price down 5%, Clicks down 3.9%, with Pick n Pay and Pepco amongst the losers today. A good day for Tungela, they were up 3.9%, DRD Gold up 1.8%, and AB InBev up more than 1%, but not enough to drive up the local boss. The JSE is looking at a far better rand today as well at 16.01 against the US dollar, 18 rand 68 cents against the euro, and 21 rand 84 cents against the British pound. Price of gold is up 1.5% at $4,672 an ounce, while platinum is up 1% at $1,910. Brent crude down 1.5% at this hour, $92.48 a barrel. And on the Money Show, we'll be looking at this results-heavy week coming through from the JSE, starting with Impact results. Of course, they make paper and packaging here in Southern Africa. We'll be talking to CEO Bruce Strong about their mixed results. High cash generation for the business, but also some lower debt levels for them as well. Advotech, the owners of those private education institutions, they saw interim earnings up 16% today, so their business doing quite well. The owners of Crawford will be speaking to us. Advotech, the CEO, Jeff White, joining us here on The Money Show. Later on, we talk about quite a concerning issue. South Africa's auto industry facing job losses as local production falls. So as the traditional brands drop the amount of cars they produce in the country, those that are making parts in the country starting to see those job losses. Nduduzo Khala, the NACAM Chief Operating Officer, joining us for that a bit later. Then in How I Make My Money, that's our feature for Monday. We look at South Africa's digital revolution with Arthur Goldstuck, talking to him about his journey as a journalist and also one of the key experts when it comes to technology in the country. All that and more on The Money Show.
Thanks, Mateo. Lots to look forward to from 6 until 8. 28 minutes to 6, the latest Eyewitness News. Puleng Make, good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Alleged crime kingpin Vusmusi Kat Matlala has been forced to continue his testimony this afternoon at the Madlanga Commission after 2 failed attempts at a postponement. The Commission spent the morning hearing submissions from his legal team on why his testimony should be rolled over to tomorrow. But the Commission refused his application, insisting to continue with proceedings despite threats of an interdict by Matlala's legal team and suggestions of them possibly withdrawing as his lawyers. The Commission was expected to hear an application from Matlala on his right not to incriminate himself, a right he plans to invoke throughout his testimony. After the lunch adjournment, his advocate on record today, Fatima Missi, told the Commission they would not bring the application today.
The position that we found ourselves in with the legal advice, given the circumstances that we face, which is one that Ms. Fania Herve, as you correctly pointed out, has been preparing on these points for as long as she's appeared here. And we've come in at a later stage and are not properly prepared to argue these points, and he's not comfortable with it either. His suggestion was that we could proceed with the hearing as is, and then he reserves his right to claim privilege as and when the questions are posed to him, and if necessary would then advance argument.
The fraud case of 7 Mfuleni municipality employees could widen, with the state indicating that more charges are expected. The group has been linked to a scheme where they would allegedly instruct customers in debt to pay them privately in order for their electricity to be restored. They currently face 4 charges, including fraud, theft, money laundering and tampering with essential infrastructure. As Anelita Fandesa reports.
The 7 municipal workers appeared in the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court today following their arrest by the Gauteng Political Killings Task Team. The state has not yet set out the full scope of the additional charges, but says an investigation into the allegations is continuing. The 7 are expected back in court next week for the bail proceedings, where the state has signalled it will oppose bail. This case puts operations at Mfuleni municipality in the spotlight, a municipality already struggling with billions of rands in debt and a severe service delivery crisis. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
At the court appearance of a 63-year-old woman accused of killing her 80-year-old sister, the deceased stepson has told EWN he learned of her death through news reports. Aletta Rose is accused of killing Constance Scholz in her Belleville home in March, and Yodel Scholz has today told reporters he had visited his stepmother together with his pastor before her death. He says his pastor later recognized the house in media reports and informed him a murder had taken place there.
My pastor contacted me after seeing reports of the murder and said, Yodel, this house looks very similar to the one we visited. I asked him to send me proof, and when he did, I realized it was 1242 David Street. That's when I knew it was my stepmother's house.
And in international news, an ex-snooker champion has been found guilty of child sex abuse. Graham Dott's allegations span between 1993 and 1996 involving a girl and in 2006 to 2010 involving a boy. Dott turned professional in 1994 and went on to win the World Snooker Championship in 2006. He had denied any wrongdoing during his trial at the High Court in Glasgow. A quick look at your weather. A fine Tuesday is in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures drops to overnight lows between 2 and 3 degrees, peaking at highs between 16 and 17 degrees.
Traffic in 4 ways. Traffic heavily congested on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Broad Acres in Midrand. We still have that truck accident scene causing some delays on the N1 southbound between New Road and the Batlu interchange. And there's also slow-moving traffic in the Protea Glen area on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens.
The top story in EWN, alleged crime kingpin Vusumuzi Matlala has been forced to continue with his testimony at the Madlanga Commission this afternoon after 2 failed attempts at a postponement.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Speaking of the ANC, they have failed to name their final mayoral candidate for the upcoming local government elections. So the party has instead announced potential candidates rather than its final mayoral candidates, with the final decisions now expected in September. And that raises a much bigger question about the state of the organization going into these elections. Is this indecision exposing deeper factional divisions within the party? Because opposition parties have already identified and positioned their preferred mayoral candidates. So what does this delay then tell us about the ANC's preparedness? And can a party struggling to agree on who should lead its municipalities convince you as a voter that it's ready to lead those municipalities?
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Planning for retirement doesn't have to be overwhelming. Time is running out. Join PPS on 19 September for its annual Retirement Summit, where you can hear from financial experts and thought leaders on building, growing and protecting your wealth. Whether you're under 45 or over 45, there's a program for your life stage. Enjoy a meal, connect with professionals, and leave with insights at only 150 Rand per person. Book now at pps.co.za/retirement summit. PPS, success is better shared. A clearer plan for your financial future. PPS is a licensed life insurer, controlling company, and authorized FSP.
This advert is paid for by the political party concerned.
I love my hometown, but for too long now, I look around and think we deserve better than this. The water goes off for days, the streets are falling apart, and things never get fixed. Look, I'm not asking for anything fancy. I just want basics to work. And I know they can work because I've seen it where the Democratic Alliance is in charge. I want our town to work for all. So in this election, I'm voting DA.
This advert was paid for by the political party concerned.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love. You gotta try my simple smoky chicken wraps. Delicious and done in minutes. Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
There's so much health information out there, but how do you know what to trust? Catch the Clement Manyatela Show tomorrow from 9 a.m. for Health Matters by Cipla Africa, where we'll be unpacking important health conversations designed to help you better understand your body and well-being. Health Matters by Cipla Africa is a trusted hub, bringing you expert-led health conversations you can trust. Then head to the Prime Media Plus app or primemediaplus.com. Scroll to Prime Media Highlights and watch the latest Health Matters video featuring leading experts and thought-provoking conversations. Or WhatsApp the keyword health to 072 702 1702 and we will send you the link to all the content.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, Brother John. An item that I stopped buying that I used to buy weekly or almost every 3 to 4 days is pump bottled water. So I used to buy the 6-pack, which used to go around 2021. I think the 6-pack went for around 54 rands. And recently it has gone up to 90 bucks. It's ridiculous. So I just refill my 5 liters. I can't handle it anymore. Hello, Brother John. Regular cooking oil to use in between. Because at this point, olive oil is a spoil. Thank you. Great show. Courtney from Four Ways.
Hi, John. I've wanted to mention this for a long time, and I don't think the Competition Commission has ever really looked into it, but the collusion around the price of pet food, and I'm talking in particular tinned dog food, is just insane. The price leaps up across the board at all different supermarkets simultaneously and never by small increments. It can go up by 5 rand a tin. And at this point, 1 tin of pet food, unless you're wanting to have one that is riddled with filler, is going to be the better part of 50 bucks, which is just insane.
Yeah, we were asking you about things that have gone up to a point where you just say, you know what, no more, I am not buying those things anymore. Lots of music to come on the show, but first let's do the sport.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Rassi Erasmus putting his hand up, eh?
Absolutely, John, because he says he got it wrong in the first rugby's greatest rivalry test, which the Springboks lost 33-16 to New Zealand at Ellis Park. New Zealand scored 5 tries as Dave Rennie's side took control in the final quarter and ended up claiming a comfortable victory. And reflecting on that game, Erasmus took full responsibility as he felt he got a number of things wrong.
I think for the first time in a long time, the 5-2-6-3 experiment backfired a bit on us, and I'll say it as it is. Odds-wise, if you take it, how many times we've done it, I think this was the first one where when Kirkley got injured, Chessie went to wing, Damon went to outside centre, Andre would have liked to play impact flanker, had to go to 12, and then the whole backline was a little bit rejigged, So with that one injury of Kirkley, and that was bad planning by myself, probably a better thing would have been to put Gaza on the wing.
Fly half Richie Mwanga will don an All Blacks jersey for the first time since the last World Cup final after he was named in the starting 15 for Tuesday's clash against the Lions. That encounters New Zealand's last game against a provisional side on their 8th tour match of South Africa. Mwanga was called up as an injury replacement in an effort to integrate him into the squad that's 1 year out from the 2027 World Cup in Australia. Switching to football, where friendships will be put to the side this evening when Xabi Alonso's Chelsea go up against Alvaro Arbeloa's Fulham in the Premier League. The two are former Liverpool and Real Madrid teammates and both had a coaching spell in charge of Los Blancos last season. But that's all in the past for Alonso, who says his full focus is on making the Blues a force in English football once again.
We'll have more time to prepare each game, that's for sure. That's a fact. After, we need to prove that we use the time in a right way, that we have enough players in good momentum to approach each game, and for sure, we'll have wanted, but it is what it is, and we need to use the time properly.
And Miguel Cardoso says he wants to add winning a domestic cup to his CV following Mamelodi Sundowns' 1-0 defeat to Lamanville Golden Arrows in the first leg of the MTN 8 semi-final. That loss looks most likely to cost the Brazilians, who haven't won this trophy since the 2021-22 season, while their last domestic cup was the Nedbank Cup back in 2022.
It's a minus, obviously. I want to put caps on my CV in South Africa, and we still can. But to make this one, we need to leave the spirit of a Champions League. Today and yesterday night, I told my boys that this match today should be played like a Champions League qualifying round. We didn't do, but still there's 90 minutes. I just hope that spirit is embedded, it's lived by the team in the right way when we go and pick the flight to go to Golden Arrows, and we can do the second leg in the level that we need to have.
Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
5:45, traffic news. Not so good if you're in four ways. Karabo Charlie.
Yeah, there's traffic pressure. This is in the Four Ways area on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Broad Acres Drive. While in Kempton Park, there's an accident scene on the R21 northbound near Atlas Road, causing huge delays from the R25 Barbara off-ramp. In Midrand, also traffic heavily backed up due to an accident scene on the N1 southbound between New Road and the Betlu interchange. I understand if you're traveling between El Dorado Park and Lenasia, there's an issue there. We've just received a voice note.
Hi, good afternoon, 702 guys. I just want to alert you to an incident on the N12 towards Lenasia. There's a section of the N12 called Dead Man's Bend. It seems like there's some bricks on the road, just on the bend. Just caution to all motorists to be careful out there. Thank you.
Thank you for that heads up. Just be cautious driving through them. In Protea Glen, also traffic sluggish on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens, while in Tshwane, Princehof, slow-moving traffic towards Gazina on Steve Biko Road between Johannes Ramokwasi and Jacob Street, and in Hermanstad, leaving the Pretoria CBD. Expect some delays on Eskiam Pahlele between WF Nkomo and the R80. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Music in a moment, but I just want to share with you this notice from Johannesburg Water. There was an interruption at the Akenhof pump station. The pumping has been restored to full capacity, but they say there will be delays on a delayed impact on water supply because of the period during which there was no pumping from Akenhof. So I'm just going to quickly run through the list of systems affected. Honeydew Reservoir and Tower, Boschkop Reservoir, Corrimore Reservoir, Linden 1 Reservoir, Waterfall and Quellarina Towers, Heldercrane is also affected, Florida North and Horizon Towers, Constantia Tower and Witpoortjie Reservoirs. So I just want to share that with you. Many of you, of course, will already be home or have heard from family members or people that you know letting you know about this problem. But that's what we have from Joburg Water, 12 minutes to 6.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Right, music. This being Women's Month, but August, coming to a close. So we thought let's do this while we still have the days. We asked you for songs that have a woman's name in the title. We started off with Dolly Parton and Jolene. Here's another one from one of you.
Good afternoon, Tate John. One of my favorites is from Kool and the Gang, Joe. Anna, I love you. You're the one for me. Woo! Yeah.
Kool and the Gang, that's from 1983, went to number 2 in the US, hit good heights in other countries as well, number 2 in the UK as well. There we go. Okay, so we're underway. Give us a call with your suggestions, your favorite songs. Remember, they must have a woman's name in the title, not in the lyrics, but in the title. We'll play as many as we can in just a moment. Stay with us.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Outside of limiting screen time, what are the other things that can really help with eye care? Because I come from the era of just eat your carrots and then we moved on.
Yeah, the carrots are good, so don't stop eating those.
Yes.
But screen time plays a major role. Okay, so encourage obviously regular breaks. Make sure that your kids have good lights if they are doing homework, that their posture is right, not lie on the one arm on the desk, because that all influences vision. Encourage them to play as much as they can outdoor.
Yes.
There's studies that shows the more you're inside, the weaker your eyes become compared to playing outside.
Anami Greer.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Every day, something shifts. A rate decision, a currency move, a headline that changes everything, until tomorrow's does. Change is constant, and for us, that's not a problem to manage. It's where opportunity lives. For 35 years, we've navigated it to seek out the best opportunities for you, wherever they may be. Change is opportunity. We're always ready to invest in it. 91, investing for a world of change. 91 is an authorized FSP.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love.
You gotta try my simple smoky chicken wraps. Delicious and done in minutes.
Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
Said they didn't have a favorite, but that wasn't true. Mom takes pictures of it, and then Dad shows it off to visitors, and no one is allowed to touch it with sticky hands. When I arrived, they let the butcher hold me.
Melissa, we've spoken about kicking the new Decofern table. Come meet Decofern's irresistible new arrivals and grab your favorite furniture at your favorite prices. Now at your nearest Decofern or decofernsa.co.za.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Maria, Maria, you remind me of a West Side Story. This is Mark from Johannesburg.
Ladies and gents, turn up the sound system to the sound of Carlos Santana in the GMB product Ghetto Blues from the refugee camp. Maria, Maria, she remind me of a West Side Story. Growing up in Spanish Harlem.
Santana collaborating with Wycliffe Jean and some others as well. The song was a huge success. Best pop performance by a duo or group with vocals at the 2000 Grammy Awards. The songs keep coming. The women's names keep flooding in. Eldon wants to hear Charlene by Anthony Hamilton. Why not?
Woke up this morning, found a letter that she wrote. She said she's tired, that I'm always on the road. Too hard to swallow, being alone. She needs someone at night that she can hold. She must have told me 1,000 times more. Silent cries I used to ignore. God knows I love her, didn't mean hurt her.
What a voice. Anthony Hamilton. The song is called Charlene. Let's take a call. Great to get someone from the Northern Cape. Joseph calling from Kuruman. Good afternoon to you, Joseph. What song is on your mind? Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. My favorite song there is Little Genie by Elton John. Oh, I love this song.
Okay, well, you love it. We're going to play it. Thanks for calling us. Great to know we're being listened to all over the country and beyond. Here's Elton.
Got so much love, little genie, and you take it where it strikes and give it to the likes of me. Oh, little genie.
Yeah, Elton John, one of the songs that, did very, very well for him. Reached number 3 in the United States. One of his biggest hits in that particular market. Back to your voice notes. What have we got?
John, hi. Zugo speaking. So what I'm thinking of is John Denver and his song. Might reveal my age or my taste in music, but yeah, thanks.
You fill up my senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again.
Yeah, very interesting. Annie's song, John Denver wrote this to his wife at the time. I'm always interested in the creative process of music, and apparently he wrote this in about 10 and a half minutes. He just skied down from a high mountain in Colorado, and the song came to him, and there we go, 10 and a half minutes. It was a pretty good effort. But of course, I suppose creativity isn't all time. You measure the output in many other ways as well. Voice notes again.
Hey there, John. Kevin Strubens Valley. Please, if you can play a little piece of the following song. It's Brooks and Dunn, Maria.
My Maria, don't you know I've come a long, long way? I've been longing to see her. When she's around, she takes my blues away. Sweet Maria, the sunlight surely hurts my eyes.
Brooks and Dunn with My Maria. Maria's getting a big look in today. Second song with that name in the title. One more.
Hi, John. A song with the name of a woman in the title for me would be Nomalanga by Zulu Boy. Great show as always. Sizwe from Deep Groove.
Nomalanga ibhala lezi ncwadi sengijone ehlathini ngaphansi kwacommand OR. We are looking forward to coming back home and being with our loved ones. I will write you letters and please send me pictures of the little ones, but for now we have to fight for the freedom of Umzansi.
Zulu Boy with Nomalanga, bringing us to the end of today's edition of 702 Drive. Great to be back with you. Please join us tomorrow at the same time at 3 o'clock. From all of us, good night.
And now, The Money Show with Moteo Haripe.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grotus is brought to you by Absa CIB, proud to support Genza Energy's investment in the infrastructure powering West Africa's growth. Tonight on The Money Show, a market commentary covered by Arthur Karras, Old Mutual Investment Group manager there, and then the South African